That what should we make? That we should make like something a laboratory.
That is that 7 minutes past 10 p.m. East African time. Where are you following this great conversation as we start our show today? We shall be dealing about with these political issues that have been happening in this country. But of course, as you know that Kenya is a land of politics, whereby there is also this political hit for 2027, where William Ruto and his former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua are fighting each other on who is going to win. But today, the president said that he's going to win the 2027 general election very early in the morning. We're going to discuss all these, and of course, today it was a big day for the United States of America, whereby we have seen the inauguration of the Donald Trump, the 47th president of the United States of America. Of course, USA is a big nation. We have North and also South America, but we have a lot of states in the USA. Mzalendo is here. He will be telling us more about what happens all over there. But of course, I am not alone. And I have several guests here. I have Jeburu, one of the loyal followers here, and he has been absent for the shows, but I think today he'll be giving us his sentiments. Also, I have Jeremiah. He is one of ours here, and Mzalendo. So I want to start with Jeremiah. Karibu sana Jeremiah for the political show, and to tell us what is your view about Donald Trump being elected as the 47th president of the United States? How does this affect our Kenyan politics? Because they were saying that the former president of the USA was very close to Kenya. That is why we had the president visiting the United States.
Asante Bon. I've been away for a while, for I think almost a week, but I'm back. And it's a pleasure seeing you all. Na nimefurahi kukaribishwa kwa show where we share ideas openly, which is a very good thing. To be honest, initially, when the American campaigns were about to start, I really didn't think Donald Trump would have been a good president for America. But as the elections progressed and a lot of campaign rhetoric was coming to the fore, and I was seeing starting to, politics needs a lot of emotions as well. So when you start hearing somebody speaking things that are dear to you, that you can relate to, you sort of have a soft spot for them. I have a soft spot for Donald Trump on two main things. One, staying away from interfering with other countries' politics, especially the shithole countries like us. I think that's a good thing. It's about time that we can be able to chart our path without America necessarily being in the background, playing the puppeteer with our presidents and whoever becomes our presidents and things like that. I like that about Trump. He has very categorically mentioned that he's not interested in interfering with other countries. Of course, especially small countries like ours. Of course, we will interfere with China and Rwanda, and Russia and the rest. So that I like about him too. And I was just reading it as we were, having a little banter with Mzalendo here before the show started. I didn't watch his inauguration speech, but I was just reading something, a snippet of it, that he said that from today, America has only two genders, male and female. Yeah, that is a topic that is very dear to my heart, being an African and being a very conservative African at that. and it's more worrisome when we have confused genders or alternative genders being part of our development aid and things like that, that you have to pass this, LGBTQ law 123 before you get 123, type of funds and things like that. So those 2 points made me really have a soft spot for Donald Trump. But then also something tells me, and this is based on the type of people he has surrounding him. He has business people, so he's approaching his leadership as a business, right? He's not looking at it as, I just want to lead a country, in whatever direction. He's looking at this like some sort of a business. So something tells me that aside from the tariff wars that are really going to heighten between Americans and the Japanese and maybe even the Europeans, right, which might sort of increase the inflation rates and things like that, especially for you guys like Mzalendo who are in America, yeah. I think that the inflation wars will make things, slightly more expensive, will make a life a little bit more unbearable for Americans. But aside from those tariff wars, something tells me that Donald Trump might actually pull a fast one on the rest of the world by turning around the American economy, that he might end up actually being a very good president, because he has people who are thinking of how do I spend less but make more. Businessmen. You look at his his treasury cabinet and the people around his economic team. They're all businessmen, successful businessmen at that, billionaires who are worth their weight in salt. So I think that we are probably in for a really good surprise on the economic front in America over the next 4 years. That is my take on the American situation. But back home in Kenya, we are also going to get a relatively shocking shock. Yeah, we've seen the president's declaration that is going to win the elections come what may, and in the past few weeks we've also seen his surrogates like Maalim and Engineer Kipsudi, saying that they are not going anywhere. They will win the elections come what may. And it goes back to something that I've mentioned here on the show, but I say it to people all over, that in my world, I might be wrong, but I think that I'm 95% right. In my world, I do not see a situation where on a Sunday morning at Kasarani, Ruto achukue instruments of power, achukue ile sword ile watu wa Raila walisemanga Jimmy Wanjigi alificha, so Uhuru will not be able to manage the country because sword iko na Wanjigi. Which was a very interesting story anyway. Sioni Ruto akichukua ile sword Kasarani apatie mtu ati ameshindwa, the way we've seen Biden do today, awachane na Air Force One aende apande ile helicopter chafu ile green aende Sugoi. I don't see that happening ever. And I keep saying that the best thing that Kenya will come out of, if anything happens, that watu wamefinya Ruto sana, all he has to do is just make sure that IEBC announces him and gives him the winner certificate, regardless of whether he has won or not. Then anajua Kenya wanapigana, and he's a man who doesn't fear war. Yes, ogopi watu waanze kupigana, anajua Kenyans watapigana maximum 2 months wachoke. Yeah, Yeye akisha bora he has the certificate from IBC na wamemtangaza as the winner, he will say sawa, fine, I'm willing to share my government with somebody, yeah. Who is it that wants to come and share my government with me? Mtu ataingia, then you'll fanya kanusu mkate, and for me that is the best case scenario. Either Ruto comes back fully as a president, or a nusu mkate government. But I do not see a pathway of somebody beating Ruto and Ruto cleanly handing over power at Yameshindo. I don't care whether it's America supporting the other person. I don't care whether it's Russia supporting the other person. I do not see that scenario happening. Asante.
Yes, that is Jeremiah. Thank you for that wonderful submission. And of course, as we celebrate, Kenya is very close to United States of America. As we celebrate the 47th inauguration of Donald Trump, I have also Jeff Buruya. Jeff is currently in the United States. He'll be telling us his views about United States elections and also the inauguration. Karibu sana, Jeff.
Thank you so much, Kimanzi, and Jeremiah, Alex, and Muzarendo for coming to the show and also giving me the opportunity to say something. First of all, I would like to say that I support Donald Trump 100% because at this time, I think America needed a strong president. It is a time when Russia is trying to take other countries. It is a time when Iran has decided to go to war with Israel. It is the time that Israel is in a very serious conflict with the Arab countries. And I was worried what was going to happen if we had a weak president in America. Israel, especially, is strong the way is strong because of being backed by America. Without America, Israel can be easily wiped out by the Arab world. So when the big brother is having strong leadership, then we are assured of existence of that tiny country called Israel. So I think for this time we needed Trump because he's a very good negotiator. He is a strong leader who is also feared by other leaders and other countries. To that extent, I think it is the right time for him to be in leadership. However, I think in some areas like immigration, he will not be so favorable. This will be his last term. And as you know, Trump is a populist leader who want to do what Americans want. Most people of America don't like immigrants. That is why he has been speaking outrightly that during these 4 years, we are going to witness a mass deportation than we have ever seen before. I am sure that is going to happen. People without papers will be deported. And he is also likely going to cross the borders like he had tried to do. Remember, in the first term of Donald Trump, he even built a wall which he had not finished. So in this term, I believe he is going to finish building that wall. So he is not very good with immigrants, and I think he'll continue to be like that because he cannot just change drastically. If what he did, he had done it within the first term, how much more is he going to do? Bearing in mind that he will not be worried of being re-elected again. So we might see very serious changes in terms of immigration, and therefore let's just wait and see what is likely to happen. But I can say the win of Donald Trump is a very good thing for him, because without being re-elected, Donald Trump was heading to jail. Remember, he had around 44 cases, very serious cases. Some of them had the threshold of felony. So God has really helped him, that now he's the president. He's likely to overturn some of those cases, and he is likely to be set free. Let me just stop there in as far as Donald Trump is concerned.
Yes, thank you so much, Jeff Buru. We have Mzalendo, a good friend of mine. I know anapenda kuniwasha sana. Mzalendo, what is your take? I'm very sure you attended the inauguration of Donald Trump. What is your view about Donald Trump being elected? Re-elected, of course. It's the 47th president of the United States of America.
I think.
How does this affect Kenya?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Stop sleeping.
Oh, that is. Oh, you are referring to yourself. You are referring to yourself. And now, I think it's a good thing that we have seen Donald Trump being elected as the 50th president of. Is it the 50th or the what? For a second term as the president of the United States. Now, what it means to many that, especially we people who are immigrants and the people of Africa and Kenya especially, it simply signifies a greater role for countries like Kenya to change its policy to align now to Trump's policy of America first. Remember, we have got the free trade AGOA that was initiated by Biden and Obama. So this might be affected a bit because Trump is really emphasizing on foreign trades and foreign tariffs. So goods that are coming from other countries might be affected. So if at all he changes his policies on AGOA, then Africa will definitely be affected. Now, another thing that we African leaders need to look at right now is that this is a different era where America is trying to stamp back its authority to the world. So countries that are really trading with China, Trump will not look at them as possible allies to his regime. So they have to really re-strategize and think very, very fast. Countries like South Africa and many other countries, even our country, Kenya. Although Kenya has really tried to be nice to the regime, and you've seen what Ruto did in the last 48 hours. He brought in he actually took troops to Haiti, emphasizing that we are still keen on the deal that we had done with the previous government and help America restore peace in Haiti. So that was a significant and political move for William Ruto. So most of the African countries and the third world countries like Kenya, they have got no alternative but to play ball to this regime. So that is my analysis about what we expect in the economic front, and again, if for immigrants who are in America right now, there could be very tight policies for people who want to come into the U.S. at the moment. It is going to be harder and stricter for people to get visas to travel to the US under a Trump regime. He has also said that immigrants from Mexico using the Mexican border, he has already labeled them as terrorists. So what he's going to do is to deploy military at the borders between America and Mexico. So those are the things that came out very, very clearly. And of course, the gender, recognizing the male and the female. Trump has been an advocate for that. And we are going to see much more of those emphases coming in. I want to stop there. Let me just pick a call. Let me give somebody else a chance. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mzalendo. Mzalendo, big fan of Arsenal. And also we have Alex here. Alex, what is your take about Donald Trump being inaugurated and, of course, the 47th President of the United States of America? Does this inauguration affect country Kenya when it comes to the relationship between these two countries?
Good evening to you, Bonnie, and long time no see, Jeff. Happy to see you. Happy also to see Jeff Mburu and Zalendo. I'm not really much informed about the politics of the state, but what I do support about the Trump being the president is the fact that he acknowledges that there are some shenanigans going on in the country, like let's say having millions of genders, which doesn't really make any sense. So the fact that he's going to do away with it, it's a plus for me. And also, Trump is big on religion. Religion should be respected. I feel like in the US, over the past few years, religion hasn't been well respected. So with Trump, they have to put some respect on religion. And also, Trump is stout. So on the Haiti issue, he's going to deal with it properly the way it's supposed to be done. I think he's at the right time receiving the United States economy, and he has the capability to stabilize it and to deliver. So I hope he does a good job, and he does it with diligence. So that's my opening remarks.
Yes, that is Alex, of course, giving his opening remarks about the United States inaugurations. Donald Trump now is the president of the USA. I've seen many Kenyans following up the inaugurations, and also we saw how Kenyans followed the elections of United States of America. And I just want to ask Buru. Buru, do you think that Kenyans are more concerned about America more than their own issues? Because you saw how they were following keenly the elections for the United States last year. And also today, I've seen several people posting the social media about the inauguration of Donald Trump. Does it mean Kenyans are more concerned about overseas countries and rather they forget about their own issues?
No, what I can say about Kenyans is that we are very vibrant people. We are international, we are global, and more so we are very, very political. So Kenyans are very informed people. They involve themselves in what is happening locally and internationally. And America is not just any other country, it's the superpower, the strongest nation in the world. So I think we in Kenya, because of the democratic space and the freedoms that we enjoy, we are able to exercise our freedom of expression beyond borders. And I can tell you even we are known internationally that we are people with tough politics. We are people who are very strong, especially when it comes to airing our views. So I can say we involve ourselves on what is happening locally and also internationally. And we are recognized for that. So just like America, Kenya is not just any other African country. It is a country of strong people, people with very tough politics and very strong opinions. And we say what we feel and what we have in our mind without fear or favor. So I think we are just interested with what is happening in America, because there are also so many Kenyans in America. I can tell you, like in a state like St. Louis, we have almost 10 Kenyan churches. What about places like Seattle? We have almost 20 Kenyan churches. So that's how vibrant we are. We are people who keep on moving, and many Kenyans are still moving to America. So America is just like a part of Kenya, because also the people of America and the employers love the way we work. We are very hardworking people. I have worked in different places in America, and I see how they embrace what we do and what we are capable of doing. So America is almost part of Kenya, because most of our sisters, our brothers, our uncles, aunties, they're there. That's why we are interested with whatever happens there. Bonnie, just to add something little on Donald Trump, I support his idea of not supporting gayism and lesbianism. The view that in marriage or in a relationship, there can only be a female and male, that one I support 100%, because America has become so immoral to the extent that it's very hard even to talk the things of God in America, because everything you say, they are likely to take you to jail. So I support Donald Trump because he calls evil, evil. He doesn't beat around the bush. He calls sin, sin, which is unlike many other leaders in America. Even workplaces, you cannot point what is immoral. So to a greater extent, I think Donald Trump is the right person for this term. Bonnie, back to you.
Yes, that is Jeff Buru saying that he really supports what Kenyans are doing. Jeremiah, do you think that Kenyans are more concerned, the same question to United States issues more than what we are experiencing in this country? They think that we have issues of poor economic conditions, poor governance in the country.
I'm going to differ with Jeff and yeah, really just Jeff on that, just a little bit, yeah. Yes, Kenyans are very tech savvy. You know, there was a study that was done. I'm in the IT space, so I read some of this global IT consumption, trends and reports and things like that. Kenyans are the top online content consumers in the world. An average Kenyan stays online longer than anyone else in the world, including even the Americans themselves. Kenyans spend so much time online, either on mobile, on a tablet, or on some other device. Okay? We have some of the highest internet penetration rates in the world. Our literacy levels are very high. Our exposure amongst the population, especially the youth, our global exposure to global current affairs is very high, much, much higher than most African countries or any other third world countries for that matter. So we are very, very largely exposed. But my opinion on why Kenyans are so keen on what's going on in America is not because of all the factors that I've mentioned. Kenyans are keen just to see how can I get myself to America. will there be an opportunity for me to go if this Trump comes in or not? So our interest is to the extent of us trying to see where is there an opportunity that we can go to America. Why are we not paying the same attention when Australia is going through an election? Ask any average Kenyan, by the way, they probably won't even tell you who's the president or the prime minister of Australia. Why don't we pay attention, as much attention to, maybe the UK? Yeah. And then when it comes to the UK, by the way, there is something that personally I was struggling to try and see, because it seems like to me in the last, 1-2 years, the UK has had five prime ministers. I'm wondering, what is these UK prime ministers? How long do they serve? There was Rishi Sunak. Before you know it, there is this guy now who is before they've changed them. I've been tasking myself to do my research and see what's going on there with the UK prime ministers. But my point is that Kenyans are keen on what's going on in America. They're very informed. They know what's happening. They know what Trump is doing, what Trump is going to do. But the interest for me, in my view, is to the extent that they want to see which loopholes they can capitalize on so they can go to America, because Kenyans are obsessed with America. That's my take.
Yes, Jeremiah said that Kenyans are obsessed with the United States of America. I personally am also obsessed with the state of California. Mzalendo, do you think that Kenyans are more obsessed with the state of America? And what is good in the state of America? I know you are one of them. You know what is happening all over in the United States. What is good in America that Kenyans will just be happy for that?
You see, most people, first of all, America is a great country. America is where everybody around the world is looking forward to visit or to be, because of how they brand themselves and how they are positioned in world politics. And even being the first world country, so many people in the third world country where the economy is not doing so well would want to come to the US. So that is one of the reasons why people are looking forward to coming to America. And again, there is the emphasis on American dream. This is a country where you can realize your dream if you have potential. This is a country where you can realize your dream when you work hard. So that is more reason why people want to come to the US. But what people don't really know about America, it's a working economy. People here work very, very hard. And the culture is work, work, work. You see those people in Congress or people in the Senate. There are people who have been in the military. There are people who have worked in the private sector for a very long time, and now they have ventured into politics. Most people who, as you see, vying for positions in American society, majorly are veterans, people who have served in the army and served their country. So there are things that you look at America and you think they can happen in your country. When did you see the last time that we respect the forces that protect you each and every day? In Kenya, we don't even respect that. In Kenya, somebody who serves in the military cannot come and become the president of the Republic of Kenya. They are not even ambitious. Those people who serve in the military, they are not even ambitious to serve their country because of the discipline. So people in America, first they respect those who protect them. Those are the soldiers. Their troops, they call them their troops. They protect, they respect so much their troops, and they get discounts wherever they are. A country like Kenya, I think maybe a soldier goes to the supermarket or where to buy anything, they are not respected at all, at all, at all. And those are some of the policies that Africa needs to embrace, and Kenya especially, because that's where we come from. They need to embrace and respect the disciplined forces. And the soldiers also who retire from the barracks, they need to come and now serve the public, get to political position, because once you are a soldier, there's some kind of discipline that being in the forces gives you that will enable you to look at things in a different perspective, things in a humane kind of way. But looking at the current situation in Kenya, what I think will happen greatly is that one, I know the abductions will not go on, and the killings that have been going on will stop at some extent. But is Trump really interested in countries like Africa, like Kenya? I can tell you very, very little. He has got probably no interest in most of the African countries. Look at his first term. His first term in office, he never visited any African country. He never participated in any kind of discussions with African leaders. So it is not part of his priority as the first president in his second term, but is interested in making America great by ensuring that in exploration, like in space exploration, America will be the first country to put its flag in space, in Mars. That is what they want. So those are the things that they are looking at. In energy, they want to be number one. In ICT, they want to be number one. In drilling, they want to drill as much as oil as they can to make the country rich again. But it is politics. Some of these things are said by politicians to make the country, rally behind you. But what Mburu said earlier, and Jeremy alluded, is that Trump is coming probably at the right time when there is a lot of war looming between Israel and Palestine and Iraq and all that. So there can be, and also the long war between Russia and Ukraine. So maybe this time round he'll be able to stop that, because that is what he said he'll do in day one. So we wait and see whether this was just political promises that will never be fulfilled, just like what we see in our country, Kenya. So let's hope for the best. Otherwise, thank you.
For the best team, Zalendo, of course, is saying that United States is one of the dream countries. Most of people look forward to landing there. We have Mise, you welcome to Africa 24. You just give us your views about the United States, Donald Trump inaugurations as the 47th president of the USA. And how does this affect our country, Kenya? Of course, you know this country, Kenyans are more concerned, because I've been following what is happening in the social media, and Kenyans are more concerned with the United States issues, and they forget about what is happening in the 254. What is your view on that? Mr. Are you there?
I'm listening. I will join in as we continue with the debate.
Yes. So we have William Ruto today. We now focused with what is happening in this country. So today we saw the president touring the Western region, whereby he was in Mumias, where we saw him interacting with the farmers in the sugarcane plantation. After that, he had a press whereby a lot of leaders spoke, the likes of Boni Alwale, the likes of Mumia as East, that is Peter Salasia. You also saw Ferdinand Baraza also speaking. But the headline of that press is when President says that he's not bothering with whatever is being said by the opposition, and also He referred to his former DP Gachagua, whereby he has been speaking all over, saying that he will make 2027 into the general election. But the president said that he will win 2027 general election by far. So anyone who is trying to compete with him in 2027, he must know that he should try 2032. So Jeremy, do you agree with what President said, that anyone who is trying to compete with him, he should be aware that 2027, very early in the morning, before 5 a.m., you will have won the general election? Is this information true? Yes, Jeremy? Yes, Alex, what is your view about what the president said?
I see, Bonnie. You're asking about the him saying he will win the elections very early in 2027. That's what he said is, let me call it hearsay. It has to be proven because the election is not yet conducted. We do not even have IBC in the country. So how can you say you'll win the elections very early and you are yet to we are yet to even have a EBC, and he is yet to even to perform as to what Kenyans expected of him. And what he's just saying is just proving what Oscar Sudi said, that even if they don't reach the right number of votes to get the seat, they will add in order for them to get that presidency. And he just wants to shove it us in our face that he will he cannot go for one term. He will do 2 terms. But I hope, Bonnie, today we can break down also other things, not just things to do with the elections. We can break down the social health authority. Is it working? Is it not working? The MPs want a pay rise. Recently, we saw the president, not the president, the senator of Kisii, Richard Onyonka, accused governors of spending over 900 million for fuel in cars per year. That's something we need to break down. Thank you.
Yes, Jeremy, do you believe that the president, yes, that courage? Why do you think the president has courage to say that 2027 he is going to win the election very early in the morning? And it's also saying that anyone who is trying to compete with him 2027, then he should know that he will just win very early. So they should try 2032. He said that today.
That, for me, that goes without saying. And I know that you know my position on the outcome of the 2027 elections. I know he's going to win. He will steal, he will kill, he will rob, he will do whatever it takes to win. That I know for sure. Now, if you watch Ruto's politics, he knows kujipanga. During his time with Uhuru, when he was going through the same troubles he's caused for Gachagua, he used to walk around and tell kina Uhuru, wewe kina nani, nyinyi wachana na mimi nimejipanga bwana, nimejipanga. Everywhere I went, he kept saying, nitajipanga, najipanga, nimejipanga, and true to his, alijipanga akafika mpaka State House. So when you see him saying things like he's going to win the election very early in the morning, the practicality of that statement is not hidden. It's not rocket science. It's in plain sight for everyone to see. Why do you think he doesn't have the IEBC constituted now, as much as he knows that not having an electoral body constituted by now is an illegality? Why do you think he doesn't have it well constituted now? Yeah, he knows what he's doing, And I can tell you this, and this has been the cycle, even with Kibaki and Uhuru 1 and Uhuru 2, both Kibaki 1 and 2, Kibaki 2, Uhuru 1 and 2, and now this. We do make the mistake, we usually make the mistake of constituting the electoral body a year or so to the elections. And what that means is that we are putting people who are literally still, if it's on real commercial employment, people who are still on probation, and you're throwing them to the deep end to run an election. What happens? Wanakuwa compromised haraka sana, na before you know it, election imesha. And that's what Ruto is doing. He will constitute that commission so much close to the election, and he knows that's illegal, and there's nothing you can do. Yeah, because for him, no rules apply. And he'll put people, and he will manipulate the election. That is one. Two, Alex, and I want you to understand this very well. Ruto knows politics. Raila, there is no smart politician in Kenya kushinda Ruto. And Raila, hata Raila, ameshinda Raila by far. Raila anamshinda too because Raila has a huge constituency nationwide that akikohoa, kila mtu anakohoa. Akicheka, wote wanacheka. The constituency that Raila holds is what makes him really, really powerful. But mambo ya kujipanga, like a chess player, moving your pieces on the chessboard, no one in Kenya knows that game kushinda Ruto sahi. And he knows what he's doing. Sahi anajua kuna baba in the bag. Yeah? Okay? If he goes all the way with baba in his bag, which he will do, he has the numbers, Alex. He has 80 to 90% of Luo Nyanza. He has, with that, he has 80 to 90% of Western. He has 70 to 80% of Coast. We know the Northeasterns will go with the government of the day. That is given. They always go with the government of the day. He has probably 60 to 70% of Nairobi. What is he leaving for whoever is going to run? Assuming that whoever runs against him will be from the Murema. Yeah. So if he looks at the numbers, Ruto knows where his numbers are. Yeah. And hiyo Murema hiyo, he's going to get a portion of it. Yeah. If he doesn't get it, he will make sure that whoever runs against him also doesn't get it. Aitapotelea tu mahali. Yeah. That is point number 2. Point number 3. Alex, when a president says atashinda election, who are you to doubt him? Yeye ndo mwenye ng'ombe. Mwenye ng'ombe akikwambia anaenda kukamua ng'ombe jioni, na wewe hata hiyo ng'ombe hata hujui inakaa aje, who are you to refuse? Mwenye ng'ombe akikwambia nitakamua ng'ombe yangu jioni. Take that statement to the bank. Watu watapigana, maybe kutakuwa na some post election violence, maybe there might be something, but at the end of it all, Ruto will stay in power. I do not see, hata ukileta Gen Z, wanasema Gen Z sijui what. I just don't see how it's going to happen. Practically, I don't see. So mimi, I believe what he's saying. I believe he will do whatever it takes to make sure that that statement becomes true. And I don't have any reason, in knowing his character, I have no reason to doubt that he will do whatever it takes to get to retain the power post 2027. Mimi sichezi na huyo jamaa anajua kujipanga. Alex, don't joke bwana.
Don't joke bwana. That is what Jeremiah is saying, that the president said, and he should follow. Mzalendo of course. President alisema kwamba 2027 asubuhi na mapemba atashinda kura. Je, huu ni ukweli? ama Gachagua atamtoa, Matengi atamtoa, ama Kalonzo Musyoka anaweza akamshinda? Zalendo amepotea. Yes, Mise, the president today said that by 2027 he will almost clinch every constituency's elections so that he can win the president of the Republic of Kenya for the second term. And that was in western part of Kenya today, whereby he was giving a press after meeting sugarcane farmers all over there. We saw how he was interacting with them. Did you believe that the president will win the 2027 general elections, or this was someone else will win the election?
We are working hard so that he doesn't win. The president has let us down. Sometimes when I see Alex here, I don't want to talk because Alex, they used to chap us when we were supporting the president, myself and Mzalendo. So I don't want to even talk about this guy. This guy has messed the country. There's no stability. Najua saa zingine even when you don't have money, right? And there's peace and tranquility, that's all sometimes we need. Pesa inakuja tu over a period of time. But I'm thinking William Ruto is not someone, I agree with what Jeremiah is saying, that William Ruto is, you can't underestimate William Ruto. He's shrewd, he has money, he has power, you know, and he has the ability to come back to power come 2027. But what is our wish? Our wish is that, if anything, this is the time where I've come to understand why other people wished that one day a certain calamity will even befall the White House, not White House, but State House, alafu tuamke tuambiwe maneno ingine, tuanze tena upya hata election. Unasikia? So that is how where it is. I don't think William Ruto is doing good for the country. The people have complained too much. People are not happy. The nation, the mood is people feel insecure. People are not motivated. People feel that they are robbed day in, day out. People feel they are oppressed. There is nothing good that people wake up to every day. And therefore, those who say that they are supporting him and that he will win 2027, you know, when you are in position of power, people will always praise you. People will always tell you what you want to hear, even when things are not going well. I think even it's evident that even Mama Rachel stopped praying for the nation. You know, you don't see her in meetings for prayers. I think even them, they don't feel comfortable to even come to the public because the country is not headed to the right direction. So I think do not also underestimate the power of people. We say that power is vested in the people. They say that for a reason. And also when injustice becomes a law, resistance becomes a duty for everybody. So I think come 2027, I remember, I don't remember if it's the year 2000 or 92 when we all sang yote yanawezekana bila Moi, and we elected Kibaki, and overwhelmingly took a defeat, you know, any kind whoever was fronted. So I'm thinking that when the people will be hungry and when the people will rise, they will vote whoever they want to. They will man the voting, the ballot boxes will be manned properly. The police will be overwhelmed. Nothing will happen that is unusual at the polling stations. And therefore, William Ruto can easily be defeated and go home. He is not indispensable. He can be removed anytime at the ballot box unless akatalie uongozi. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa, na maombi yetu ni kwamba William Ruto amke siku moja, tupate tumbo inamuuma, aseme hawezi endelea kwa sababu tumbo inamuuma, anataka kushughulikia matibabu, ndio tuanze proper or a fresh
Mr. That is treason. Mr.
No,
That
that's
is
not treason.
Wishing
No, that's not treason.
President na tumbo.
Yeah. No, that's not treason. We want him to get out of the office. Aumwe tu, hata amke tu, akiamka hivi anaara, akienda hivi diolea mpaka aseme wacha nishughulikie matibabu kwanza. That's how bad it is.
I agree with you totally, Mr. This country is not, there is nothing to smile about every single day. Kenyans wake up. I was watching news for the first time in a very long time today. I was tuned to Citizen this night at that's about 2 hours ago at 9 p.m. Do you know that the first I think like 10 headlines were just distressful images of people. Somebody has been kidnapped and killed. Somebody's been kidnapped and hasn't been found. A mother went to the hospital and her child was, malpracticed by lawyers and by doctors, and the kid is now, another one has gone to SHA, but they're, because of their sickness, they need more money. They don't have the money. It was all depressing, So the country is not heading in the right direction. But when I say that Ruto is not going anywhere, not that I'm supporting him. Actually, I wish that what you're saying, Mr., would come true. But so that we can have a new start. But I'm thinking that this guy is not going to go anywhere. And let me tell you one thing. Something, and this is my opinion. Kenyans are used to kama kuna kelele, then kura imeibwa. Kama watu wanapigana, kura imeibwa. This guy can just decide and make everything so peaceful. Mtu asipigwe, mtu asifanyiwe nini, mpaka Wakenya waseme hii kitu imepigwa. But do you know where the rubber meets the road? Unakumbuka the previous election, tukiambiwa na court at the servers needs to be opened, tukaambiwa that server iko France na France bado wanalala, so tungoje wakiamka tutauliza kama wanaweza fungua server. Do you know how stupid that sounds? Somebody will just play around with the infrastructure that is used for counting the ballots and transmitting the ballots and everything. And they can just decide to make sure that everything, polisi wako, security wako and everything, they leave you focusing on kama kuna kelele and the rest, but they are doing the thievery with the infrastructure. We all know that at these past elections, when the tallying at the National Tallying Center was happening at Bomas of Kenya, okay? And this is where Raila lost the election. Raila and these guys who should have been at Bomas with their technology, right? Monitoring and counting and recounting and evaluating and make sure that the numbers are correct, were busy at KICC spreading a red carpet that hii kitu tumeshashinda. And Mzalendo can bear me witness to this, yeah? At that time, yeah, Ruto's people, kina Bosolei, kina Murkomen, were at Bomas with tablets that were actually feeding numbers into the national tallying server. And I'm not, you see here say they were actually, busted with that. Wakapigiwa kelele with that, and it was all over. They were there with their digital devices. Whatever they were doing with them, no one really knows. But when it was all said and done, what were the numbers? So this guy can decide, mimi si mnangoja ati watu wakipigana ndo mnaona kuna ibuo. Mimi hata mtaniona huko kwa vita, mtapiga kama mmenyamaza, nita deploy polisi vizuri. I'll even deploy Kenya Navy if necessary. But si mkishapiga kura inaingia kwa mtandao, I'll just control the mtandao. Whatever comes in, whatever comes out, I will control. What will that do for Kenyans? Hizo makura za Gen Z zote zinapigwa, badala ziende whoever they want, zinaendea Ruto. How will you fix that? This guy is very shrewd. He is very cunning, and he knows the psyche of Kenyans. And I know when he says atashinda mapema, huyo mtu ameshajipanga. By the time he's starting to say that, Jua he's already found his solution, probably found it 2 years ago. Probably his way of winning, ameshakuwa nayo, he's just polishing it. So me I don't see, but that's my opinion.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mzalendo, we want to hear your opinion about that.
I think things have changed. I just want to correct Jeremy that things have changed. People have elections are becoming more complicated by the day. It is not. It's not going to be very easy to steal the 2027 elections. Just like.
But will it be possible? But will it be possible?
I can say that there could be a possibility, but the only possibility is by Ruto shutting down the internet. And when you shut down the internet, then the results cannot come to the server. So that is the only way that election can be manipulated in 2027. But
those are some of the things we can do.
Yeah, but with the internet on, I don't think the elections will be easy to manipulate, especially when you are going against the people who were with you in the previous election and know whatever you had done. Unless you did it with a lot of secrecy, then that's a different ballgame altogether. So this is a unique election where the vice president who was with the president in the previous election is now not with him, and his voting bloc is raring to vote in 2027. So it is unique in that way. And if you look at the numbers, for example, William Ruto and Gachagua come from Central and Rift Valley. Those are their strongholds, and that was good enough for them to win the elections. Raila Odinga and his massive following across the country could not win the election. Even with Wiper joining them, they still could not win the election. That is on a free and fair electoral system. They could not win with those numbers. Now, Central is not going to vote for William Ruto. Even if elections were held tomorrow, they would not vote for William Ruto. I don't know about 2027, whether they will be in Ruto's camp or not. But politics, a day in politics, a lot can happen. So we don't know what will happen. But if the situations remain constant the way it is, then Ruto is likely to go home in 2027, with or without inheriting the Nyanza voting bloc. And remember, the Nyanza voting bloc, Raila is not in the ballot. There'll be a lot of voter apathy in Nyanza because Raila is not on the ballot. Even with Raila on the ballot, he still missed 700,000 votes. And he was beaten by only 200,000 votes by William Samoei Ruto. So remember, right now, there's another disgruntled lot in Raila's stronghold. People who don't feel that he should have joined this government. And there's a greater mass of people who feel that a lot is not going wrong, going right in the country. And largely, these are the working forces who are being taxed heavily. These are the people who are not going to vote for William Ruto. The farmers might vote for William Ruto, but the working class, people who depend on salaries and they are being deducted, people who have got patients in hospital, or people who have lost loved ones because of a system that is not working, they will not vote for William Ruto. The young people, there is a new voting bloc that is not within the metrics that we had in 2022. These young people didn't participate in the election largely. Maybe 20% of them voted, but 80% did not care to vote because they didn't know the importance of election. Just like here in just the elections that have just been concluded, Trump managed to get 40% of these people. He never used to have them. And 40% of these people is a huge number because they don't participate in elections. So for the first time, they are confessing to you that we university students and all and the college going students, we don't really care about elections. But this time round, because of the messaging and the TikTok and the X platforms, we are going to participate in the process because we have seen how government is run and we have seen what these leaders are offering. So that is what is going to be different in the coming election. And again, you can rig the election, but you cannot rig the senators and the MPs who are going to be in parliament. You cannot rig all that. Yeah. So in most of the areas, especially when you come from cosmopolitan areas or urban centers will have a great shift of leadership because of the colleges around urban centers and the student populations around those places. So those leaders who are in urban centers, they are likely going to go home. Likely going to go home in 2027 if you have not performed. In Nairobi, for example, I would tell you Babu Owino will get any seat that he wants in Nairobi. Just like Sifuna is playing his politics. He's not playing what the ODM people want, but he's playing politics to win the elections in 2027. And that is what politics is all about. So this politics in 2027 comes with a different challenge from what William Ruto is expecting. Remember, this guy is going to in an election with almost over 50 or 60 people still missing, young people, or we don't know where they are. And there is international pressure, pressure from the civil society that he needs to account for all these bodies. So that is what is going to change the politics of the country. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, that is Mzalendo giving his views about 2027. But of course, Alex had said that we don't have the IBC whereby we should be having this electoral board so that we can determine on what is going to happen in 2027. But of course, today we saw COTU, that is both were called to Francis Atwoli, saying that the Western region, the entire Western region is going to support President in 2027. And we have seen how leaders in the Western, of course, after the appointment of Wycliffe Oparanya in the cabinet secretary, they have been fully supporting the government. Jeremiah, do you believe that COTU boss is a betrayer? Because you remember that before the 2022 general election, you were saying that Raila is going direct to the State House. But after some time, after Ruto won, now he's here supporting the Kenya Kwanza government.
There's nothing like a betrayal in politics. But there is something called self-interest or self-preservation. So if somebody supports you in politics today, and tomorrow he changes because you lost and is supporting the other person, he's not betraying you. he has some interest that is preserving. So I wouldn't want to use the term betrayer as such, but he wields serious influence in the voting pattern of the Western people. He wields a lot of influence on the elected leaders of that region. Tell me anyone from Western who Atwoli cannot call and sit down with one-on-one and tell you, "Ona boss, unaona that direction you are going, haiko mzuri, let's go this direction because of 1, 2, 3, 4," and that person would switch. Atwoli has a lot of sway in the voting patterns of the Western people, and for him to align now tells you something. Okay, and all I can say on what Mzalendo is saying, Mzalendo, I understand you very well. There's going to be a very huge shift in the voting systems in Kenya. There's going to be very new, huge block, the Gen Z, they will be there. I understand you cannot rig senators and MPs and all of that, but guess what? All these people who want to vie for these seats, they'll scan the field. Watangalia ground inakaa aje. Ruto has a machinery that I don't think anyone else would have to run against him. I don't see Gachagua having an election, coffer that would equal Ruto's. I don't think if Matiang'i would, as much as I know if Matiang'i runs, that means it's Uhuru who is running. Yeah. I don't know if Raila would have that much muscle, in terms of financial muscle to run such. So if Ruto sees somebody is going to come who is going to cause a bit of tension, he will just, open up his bank accounts and or government. Actually, it won't probably be his personal money. It will be government money. You and I will finance his campaign kitty. Our taxes will be going towards that. And that's how they do this. So if he sees somebody is going to come, he will change the narrative through this same media that we say these people will use. He can use the media as well. Yeah. He has his own media houses that he can use to influence people, right? He has an interest in helping Elon Musk with his technology in Kenya. That's why Kenya is one of the first African countries to actually receive the Starlink devices. And when Safaricom tried to make noise, what happened? The president intervened and Safaricom walikuja wakanyamaza na Starlink inaendelea. So he has the interest of guys who will actually run the social media platforms that we are talking about here. The other point, Mzalendo, again, I say it with the caveat that I do understand what you are saying, but nothing in Ruto's character tells me that he plays by the book anywhere he goes. I don't see anywhere in his political history where Ruto has played by the book. If you know one, tafadhali uniambie, I know. But me, I know of none. From way back in his days in Y2K, how did he muscle Jirongo out of Y2K? Yeah, the guy gets an order to go and make 800 t-shirts, right? He makes 800 t-shirts, he comes with them to Jirongo's office, tells them do hizi mia nane, anapewa pesa, he goes down with the lift, anakaa kidogo, he comes back with the same 800 t-shirts again, anasema tumeongeza 800 zingine, anapewa invoice, anashuka nazo chini, anapanda tena nazo, the same t-shirts. Yeah. So from the day he started politics, he's been shrewd and he has survived like that. Nothing tells me in his character that he would very, very easily let go of power that he has fought for all these years. Ikifika hapo mpaka, it's unbearable for him. I can actually imagine that then Kenya would be burning at that point. Kenya would be seriously burning. Ikifika point mpaka Ruto anaachilia.
Jeremy, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What is is Ruto really in power right now without Raila Odinga? Would he still have that power that you are talking about?
I think that it would have been a different scenario, right? But and that's the point I was making before you said Ruto will let Kenya burn. He will let Kenya burn before he lets go. That I can tell you for sure. So at a scenario, I think he would have held on. Kenya ingeendelea, watu angepigana, ingeendelea hivyo, probably eventually angetoka, but by the point anatoka, I think Kenya would not be the same. Hata probably hiyo Kenya hiyo, I don't think he will let go kama Kenya bado yuko Kenya. If people fight to get him out, I think he will sit tight. People will fight. Ikifika the point mpaka he runs away or gives up, tutakuwa tumepigana ukweli. Probably tutakuwa tumepigana beyond how we did in 2007. That is my point. Hii kupigana kidogo kidogo hii, he knows how to survive that, and he will sit it out, wait it out. Mtapigana, he will do his small things. He knows that Kenyans maximum 2 months. Watu wamechoka, people want to go back to work, people want to go back to to making money, and he knows that very well. He knows the Kenyan psyche, and he's banking on that. He knows how stupid we are. Yeah, because otherwise, if he didn't know how stupid we are, he wouldn't be doing some of the blatant, things that he's doing, breaking the law blatantly. He knows there's nothing Kenyans watafanya. He knows we are stupid that much. He knows our psyche. Ikifika at that level, he knows how far we can go. Tukipita the threshold ile yeye amejua, then I think Kenya itakuwa in a ban like we've never known it.
Interesting.
Zalendo, what is your view about that?
Let me.
We have not heard you.
Oh.
You about 2027.
I think I've just spoken about 2027, and I said that 2027 election is not going to be easy for William Ruto, because the country is crying. The country is not the same, and he has got 2 years to prove a point, 2 years to impress the people of Kenya. I said, and I've been saying, elections is about enthusiasm. There are things that drive you to the ballot. There is the urge to go to the ballot and vote. Right now, what is the urge for people to go and vote? The urge for people to go and vote is Ruto must go. That is what the urge is at the moment. So that urge, that drive, is going on a negative direction. But Jeremy, when you mentioned Starlink that belongs to Elon Musk, you see, that is why I told you elections are just going to be rigged through the internet. That's already a plan that they will control the internet in 2027. And yeah, so that is how this plan is working. If they shut down the internet, then that might work. But if they don't
And then shutting the internet and justifying it even legally is there because our constitution has the provision that if our elections are not 100% electronic, right? So we have a provision that if technology fails, we can go back to manual. And it's perfectly legal.
Yeah, maybe Misa can tell us more about that. in the legal fraternity. So me say, but that can be challenged. You see, the problem that with that election is that it will be challenged in court, because there are only two provisions in elections, that they have to be transmitted electronically and manually, and verified manually. So there is a problem there already.
So that is fine, eh? That can be challenged. That can be challenged, and there is no problem with that. But then, by the time you are challenging this in court, who is sitting there?
Of course, William Ruto.
There you go. What comes first, the challenge or him sitting on the seat? See, him sitting on the seat comes first, and then you'll go to the court, and we know what will happen with that. So, and that's why I'm saying, regardless of how you see it, me, the only next to best scenario that I see Kenya coming out of 2027 elections is a government of national unity with Ruto as the president and agreeing to share power with somebody, whoever that person will be. I don't know. Akubali too, because of international pressure and maybe watu wamepigana sana, aseme, okay, fine, it's okay. We love our country. I don't want our country to burn. Or they'll do a handshake again with whoever it is. Na ingie. But maybe there's something I'm not seeing. But in my wildest dreams, I don't see Ruto conceding that he has lost the elections and hands over power to somebody at Kasarani. I don't see that happening. This guy has fought for decades to get, and he's a very ambitious guy. And everything has worked in his favor up to this point. He cannot just let it go like that. I don't see him doing that. There's nothing in his character that tells me atawachilia tu ati yeye nimeshindwa. Gachagua amenishinda, ndio huyu sasa ndio president wetu. I don't see that. I don't.
Gachagua anasimama wapi? Why are you guys disillusioned?
That was sarcastic, Mzalendo.
Yes, Miss, we have seen today COTU boss Francis Atwoli saying that the entire Western region is supporting William Ruto. Do you think that this is because of inclusion of Wycliffe Oparanya in the cabinet secretary of Kenya Kwanza government?
Huyu mtu anaitwa nani tena?
Francis Atwoli.
Mi napenda Francis for sure, but a disclaimer. But I don't agree with everything he says. I like the sense of humor in him, but now it turns out as a cartel. He's a cartel. Francis Atwoli is a cartel.
Yes, big one.
He's a cartel, and that tells you the reason why. And you know, unakumbuka Francis Atwoli ndiye alisema William Ruto hata waiona uongozi. Leo ako wapi? So these people, we don't trust Atwoli, but you can't underestimate him as well, because it looks like people from Western also listen to him. He's elderly as well, and is close to the president. And many people would want to favors from the president will always try to align themselves with Atwoli, and that is a possibility that Western will support William Ruto. There's no doubt that William Ruto is vouching for new alliance. He's lured the Luos, and that's why you see there's a lot of investment in Homa Bay, Siaya, through Gladys Wanga, Moses Kajwang, Orengo, James Orengo, Tom Ojienda. Now also you have heard that they said they will endorse, they will align themselves behind William Ruto, and that means the people from Kisii as well. Kisii is not if ODM is in the government, Kisii is also in that government as in that bandwagon. So for sure, William Ruto will be the first one to demystify the numbers or the pattern of central province being key in every election. But because now he's looking at Nyanza, looking western, is looking at Rift Valley and coast, and of course there will be people who will be sympathizers of William Ruto from central, so meaning he will also get elections from there. So when Atwoli says something, it is not very far from the truth, but there is also a possibility that people can demystify, can rise up to the occasion and disapprove what these people who have been in power, who have been manipulative, who have been using us as the people to rise up to the power and continue enriching themselves. And I hope that will be the scenario to disappoint. And there's something, Jeremiah, you talked about election and the servers. You know, the issue of the servers, it was just a narrative from one Raila Amolo Odinga, who made us believe that election is stolen and manipulated at the server level, which is not actually the case. Election is won at the polling station, and the numbers streaming from the polling station are not manipulated on the way. Maybe they could be manipulated at the polling station. And Raila Amolo Odinga, perhaps he never wanted to be the president of the Republic of Kenya, but he knows that he has to be a fierce competitor of any other person who rises to become the president, and then he can negotiate his way to the government and have equal shares in the government, but you can hardly hold him accountable. In my view and other people's view, Raila is the longest serving president that we never had in the executive, directly in the executive, but through proxy. So, and I don't think if really Raila wanted to win the election, Shinda. I think it's by design. He doesn't want us to point fingers to him, to Mwambi he has failed. But why struggle, and yet he can go to the government, get the same benefit, na lawama inabaki kwa wale wenye wamekalia kiti.
He wants to have his cake and eat it. That's an on-point analysis.
Yeah. Kwani Alex amekuwa amenunuliwa na Ruto, mbona amenyamaza hivi? Siamini Alex siku hizi.
Alex, sema kitu kuhusu
nilikuwa
Francis Atwoli.
nasubiri Boni unipe mic. So first of all, let me respond to some few things that Jeremiah has spoken about. Recently, I heard Sifuna was speaking about them losing the 2022 election, and he spoke about the first mistake they made is they aligned themselves with the previous regime, the one for Kenyatta, and that is the one which Kenyans were furious about. And so with them aligning with them, and so President Ruto at that time was very objective. He was tackling the issues which Kenyans were facing, and so that's why many people believed in him. He was even called the man of God, so he was even endorsed by the church. So those are some of the reasons which made Ruto to be able to get the seat. And sorry to the Azimio supporters wenye walikuwa nadhani walibiwa kura. If we are to speak truthfully, Ruto clinched the seat asubuhi na mapema. But if we are seeing things right now, the two blocks that supported him is from the Mount Kenya and Rift Valley, ndio zilimpatia hizo kura ndio aweze kupata. And if we are to look at things right now, they have lost some parts of they have lost the mountain, so they only have rift. And if you check at, let's say, something like ODM or Azimio, they still have their constituencies. So you see, so they only lost by 200,000 votes. So meaning right now Ruto has lost a lot of supporters, because you know the one thing with the people of the mountain is they speak one voice. They kura zao hazigawanyiki. So Sifuna also spoke about Azimio. Let me not say Azimio. ODM putting a candidate for the 2027 election. So so yes, I support some things that you're saying, but I do believe it's going to be difficult for Ruto to be able to get the 2027 seat, because this time he's not going up against Baba or Kuibiwa Kura. This time he's up against the millions of Kenyans. So like we are living na tunaenda kwa era ya accountability. So if he wins it, he will have to prove to Kenyans that he has gotten the seat legitimately, even though politics is a dirty game. So and then the issue with Atwoli, nisemaje juu ya Atwoli, I think Atwoli has lost it, and he thinks the people of Western are sycophants, like the ones from Nyanza, but he misses the point. I don't think this time the people of Western will follow their leaders blindly, ati watafuata Musalia ama watafuata Weta, or they will follow anyone. So I think this time the people are in for it. They will be shocked if Ruto thinks it's easy just to go and clinch the Western region, even through guys like Atwoli. I think he's in for a rude shock. So that's what I can say.
Yes, big shock in 2027, but of course, that is what is happening in this country as Kenya prepares for 2027 general elections, where the Gen Z said that they are going to vote so that they can get their own leader. But they still don't have their leader, that is the Gen Z. Of course, we have seen, that is on Sunday, we saw what was happening, where Gachagua was talking with a lot of anger issues. Kenyans are saying that Gachagua should just go home in Madeira and relax, wait for 2027. Mzalendo, should Gachagua go home and relax, or he should continue with what he's doing? Mzalendo, are you there? Jeremy, Gachagua aende nyumbani ama aendelee tu kupinga serikali?
In my opinion, it doesn't matter where he goes. He just needs to shut up. He just needs to aache kuongea. You know, the more he talks, the more stupid he looks. Kama hiyo ya jana anasema ati hiyo mambo ya shareholding kwa government ni Ruto alikuwa anamwambia aseme. Kwani what type of a person are you, and watu wanakuambia, mtu mwingine anakuambia what to go and tell you, you know? He looks very stupid, and then he is too emotional. He's the perfect example of a jilted lover. Hajai amini boyfriend amemwacha. So he's and the more, in my own analysis, the more he keeps doing that, we are almost 3 years away from the election. Hata kama ni wewe mtu wa kusikiza mtu anasengenyana, si utachoka na useme hai, kwani mtu hakuna kitu anaweza niambia, ni kusengenya tu watu ndio anajua kuniambia? Si utachoka na yeye? The voters will be tired of him saying all these things about Ruto and all. They'll want him to start giving them substance, which, to be honest, I think he lacks substance. He doesn't have a platform of what to talk about, what to tell people. And if I were him, he needs to take a sabbatical for a couple of months, apumzike, strategize in the background, mpaka watu waulize, ule Gachagua kwani aliendanga wapi? Then you come back with inaitwanga scarcity, generates demand. Kama uko tu kila pahali kila siku, every day uko tu kwa news and you're not saying anything, it's just a matter of time. People will get tired of you. If I were him, I would stay away from the media for a while. Let people speculate, nimekufa, nimeenda, sijui, nimeenda, exile, nimefanya nini. Then when I come back with something to talk about. If I was his advisor, that's what I would ask him to do. Awache kuongea kwa media, and if he has to, asikuwe tu anaongea about Ruto and what Ruto did and what Ruto did not do. Akuwe tu labda aonekane tu kama kwa kanisani ameomba, amesalimia wananchi, akakaa chini, story kuisha hivyo tu. Wacha watu wadai maneno kutoka kwa mdomo yake. Watu wamuulize, what do you think? Former DP, what do you think? What is your opinion on this? See that you are just out there. People don't even have to probe you if they want to know something from you, because you are going to say it out anyway without anyone asking you. So awache tu atoke tu kwa media na awache kuongea. That's what I would say. And I don't think it's not going to get him far. Watu watachoka naye. By the end of 2025, watu watakuwa wamechoka na hizo stories zake, stories za jaba. Zitakuwa stories za jaba sasa from them.
Yes, you will. We also have Jared. Karibu sana Jared to Africa 24. We're just discussing about the future of 2027. And we have seen what happened today, whereby the president was in Western, and he got a full support from the Western region. And they are saying that they are going to support him in 2027. Do you believe that 2027 will be a walkover for President William Ruto? Joram.
Luckily, how are you? My regards to everybody in the studio this evening. Luckily, I come from that side of the world. And, being a person who comes from that side of the world, I want to offer William Samoei Ruto, free advice. And, the same free advice, has been given to him by, Caleb Amisi, the MP for, I'm forgetting his constituency. William Samoei Ruto is where Mwai Kibaki was after the referendum in 2005, where, where the bloc that, propelled him into leadership, rebelled against him. You remember in 2002, the people from Western Kenya, largely what I'll call the Luo Nyanza and the Mulembe Nation, then plus the coast, in large numbers, voted for Mwai Kibaki. But when he became president of the Republic of Kenya in 2002, he went against what was the agreed MOU, and he ended up where William Samoei Ruto is today. But there is a difference between William Samoei Ruto and Mwai Kibaki. At least for Mwai Kibaki, there was some tangible things that Kenyans were seeing. Kenya could, there was for example, there was a free primary education that the people of Kenya could relate to Mwai Kibaki. But when it comes to William Samoei Ruto, there's almost nothing to relate to him. He has been president of the Republic of Kenya for 2.5 years. But if you ask an ordinary person, anything tangible that they can feel from William Samoei Ruto, they seem to be none. They seem to be none. The best that I can describe him, this has been a leadership, what I call a con game, and what I call, political fraud, that has inflicted pain on the people of Kenya. Now, William Samoei Ruto seems to have lost the majority of the votes that made him president of the Republic of Kenya. William Samoei Ruto became president of the Republic of Kenya by garnering 7.1 million votes. 3.9 of those votes were from Mount Kenya. 3.9 out of 7.1 million votes, were from Mount Kenya. And that's the truth of the matter. So he has lost 3.9.
million votes. That's gone. And he's trying to panel beat around to see where he can go and recoup the 3.9 million votes that he has lost, in Mount Kenya. And something is telling him that he can get these votes in perhaps Luo Nyanza or Western Kenya. And to me, I think that whoever is advising William Samoei Ruto, must be misleading him. Because I want to speak with authority as a person who comes from that area. At least I've given you an example of Mwai, but at least people are excited, especially about the free primary education, that came into being immediately Kibaki became president. There's nothing to excite a person in Western Kenya, to wake up in 2027 to go and vote for William Samoei Ruto. What is this that will excite, an ordinary person in Western Kenya to wake up and vote for William Samoei Ruto? And this is an area that has its own challenges. Even the voter turnout, even when one of their own is running, the voter turnout is always a problem. When Raila Odinga, you look at the times that Raila Odinga has been running, the voter turnout in Luo Nyanza and in Western Kenya, look at the voter turnout, it's not a it's not always very, very encouraging, compared to the other section of the country. So William Samoei Ruto, where he stands, I feel that he's a disparate person, and when you are disparate, you try anything that could work, and that's why he's panel beating, and we wish him well in trying to panel beat, but I don't think it's going to work for him. Because for once, there's nothing, tangible. People want to see a tangible thing that you have done. For example, today he was paying out bonus for the sugarcane farmers, paying bonus. If you understand, the concept behind the bonus, especially for those people who come from tea growing areas, there are those tea factories in our region where people deliver their tea. So every day as you deliver your tea, it's recorded the amount of kilos of tea that you deliver. Then at the end of the year, depending on the profit that this particular company makes, it brings back something to farmers, what could be an equivalent of, dividends, in a company, what could be an equivalent of dividends. If I ask you today, where did William Samoei Ruto get the money that he was paying, to farmers as bonus? Where did he get it from? Because, this is not money that was coming from, Mumia Sugar Company. If you know the history of Mumia Sugar Company, this has been an almost dead factory. It's only the other day that it has been revived. Where has it gotten money, to start paying farmers, bonus? And I remember, Salasia, asking, for the source of this money that was used to pay farmers. Because, if it's bonus, then it must be bonus. Just like it happens in, within the tea sector, where when a factory pays bonus, then it's bonus. We don't want tokenism or what I call political conmanship, where you go to the exchequer, you pick money, then you come to the local people here, then you cheat them that you're paying bonus when it's not bonus. So that tells you that that's a move of desperation. This is a disparate man that is now creating things that are not there. Telling sugarcane farmers that he is paying them bonus, without telling them exactly where the money is coming from, and where the money is coming from. So he's a disparate guy. And as we move towards 2027, there's no surety that, William Samoei Ruto will get votes from Western Kenya. It's being cheated by people, wale wamekula na wameshiba, people like Wakina Atwoli, people like Wetangula, people like Musalia Mudavadi. These people, even on the ground, they are not as popular as you want to believe. They are not as popular the way you want to believe. And, people are fed up. Just like in any other corner, the way people are fed up, people are also fed up in Western Kenya because things are not working. For example, SHA was a very big topic today in Mumias. I remember Salasia bringing it up, and I saw, the speaker, Wetangula, becoming irritated, about it. But the truth of the matter is that, SHA is not working in the manner that it's supposed to work. So, there's nothing tangible that will excite people from my land to wake up to vote for William Ruto in 2027. So the biggest mistake he did was to impeach Rigathi Gachagua. By impeaching Rigathi Gachagua, he lost 3.9 million, plus perhaps a million votes that, Raila Odinga got from, Mount Kenya. That could come to around 4.7 or something of votes. So how do you have lost around 4.7 million votes, and in one particular region, then you are running around thinking that you are going to get these votes in Western Kenya or in Luo Nyanza. It's not going to work. It's not going to work at all, at all. I've had one of my brother there, trying, telling us, how Ruto is a man who knows how to play his game. You could be a very, very good player. Yes, we have seen very, very good player even during the World Cup or during the Premier League. But they must be dynamic that should help you play the game in the manner that you are supposed to play. If those dynamics are not there, however good you are, then you not excel in that particular play, that particular game. And that's where William Ruto is today. That's where he is today. Because everywhere in this country, people are complaining. People are complaining, People are complaining because he has delivered nothing. 2.5 years, nothing delivered, compared to perhaps what I've told you of, the Mwai Kibaki, where there was something tangible to be shown. What can William Ruto tell you that he has done? Today I heard him say that, he has created 250,000 jobs, in the housing scheme. Have you seen those jobs, the 250,000 jobs? 250,000 jobs. These are 250,000 people. This is a multitude of people. That you should be in a position to pinpoint that there are 10,000 here, there are 5,000 here, there are 3,000 here. Can you tell me anywhere, any site where you can move to, and you come across 1,000 people or 2,000 people working in this sector William Ruto is calling, the housing sector? Why should he just be coming up with numbers for the sake of coming up with numbers? Let me just stop there and allow somebody else to come in. Thank you.
Yes, that was Jared, and that is wonderful submission from your hand. Mzalendo, do you have something to respond from what Jared said?
Yes, I wanted to respond and disagree sharply with Wangira. Wangira, I'm not sure. How are you, Wangira? First of all, we have a history.
I am fine. I'm fine, my brother.
You know that the time that we were supporting William Ruto, you were against him, and today we are together. We are against William Ruto, but they say, despite the fact that he has not delivered, despite the fact that the country is not happy, despite the fact that nothing is working, that doesn't take away the ability of William Ruto to manipulate and mobilize people who will support him. And William Ruto has money, he has power, he has influence. Money plus power can even buy Salesio come 2027. It can buy everybody, and that when a classic example is when when Gachagua was being impeached, everybody was bought, everybody was intimidated. So what makes you think that when it comes to 2027 election, the same will not happen? We cannot underestimate William Ruto. William Ruto is a dangerous, William Ruto is dangerous presidential candidate 2027. He's well-versed, he's a shrewd politician. He's also a man who knows how to make, and he understands what happens to to the ground. And I believe that despite the fact that he has not done a lot, we as the people as well have been enabling politicians to manipulate us, because what they will do, they will just come with money. They are busy right now. They are busy stealing and looting from us. And when it will come to 2027, they will come back with the money that they have stolen from us. They will use money that very same money to manipulate us. Nobody cares what you've done in the past. What people care is what they will put on in their stomach today, and that is even desperate. You know, when people are empowered, they might walk away from you giving them $100 shillings. But when people are unempowered, they will take even 20 shillings for them to put food on their table, or a meal on their table. So I believe that William Ruto is dangerous, powerful, influential, is a man everybody knows. Hata kuku yetu siku hizi inajua William Ruto. Everybody and everything knows about William Ruto. That is why it would be an apt task ill for anyone who is coming in. There's no worthy competitor for William Samoei Ruto. William Ruto is also a smart politician, because he knows that the only worthy competitor was Raila Amolo Odinga. And what he's busy doing, he has spent a lot of money in campaigning for Raila Amolo Odinga to get him out of the country. He has spent a lot of money to quiet Raila Amolo Odinga. And despite the fact that, even though Raila will come 2027 and say, hey, listen, I'm back to the race, people have known the other side of William Ruto that they didn't know. There are Luos who knew something, the negative narrative about William Samoei Ruto. But the people, can you tell me the people who are in Gladys Wanga's, let me use Gladys Wanga's county, the march that William Ruto has taken there, the money, the development that he has influenced, that has been influenced to that county. Can you tell me that when it will come to 2027, will someone say William Ruto is a bad person, and people will believe him with all the development that he has and the money and the resources that he has pumped there? So there are people who have gotten a chance to know William Ruto that they didn't have in the past, because he was not welcome and did not get a chance or even the goodwill to be there to campaign there. So, and there also a factor of fatigue for Raila Amolo Odinga. People from Nyanza are getting tired with Raila Amolo Odinga. I'll tell you why. In 2022 election, I was in Kisumu when the election was announced, and election results was announced. I was at the CBD Kisumu, and everybody was closing up, saying, oh, we have to leave town. But I can tell you, there was peace and tranquility, because people say, hatuwezi kuwa tunapigana kwa sababu ya Raila kila wakati. Bwana, kama Raila ameshindwa kushinda kura, akae, wacha tuangalie Simba Arati. People were talking about Simba Arati during that time, because they saw Simba Arati as an alternative that they could go for in place of Raila Amolo Odinga. So I am thinking that the combination of Western, Nyanza, Rift Valley, and the coast will take William Ruto legitimately back to be the next president of the Republic of Kenya. So I don't think underestimating William Ruto, and the people actually who are advising William Ruto, I think they are very brilliant, because they are making history. The history that they are making is that for the longest, Mount Kenya have had what is called entitlement to presidency. And now William Ruto is rewriting the history by demystifying that entitlement and saying, listen, I don't need you. I can get somewhere else and still become the president of the Republic of Kenya. He did that. He tested waters. He impeached Gachagua, and still nothing happened. So the next thing is the president or the deputy president will come from Luo Nyanza, right? The speaker will come from Coast, which is, I think still we have the speaker from from course the Speaker of the Senate. We'll have another Speaker of the Senate from, the Speaker of Parliament from Central, and William Ruto will go back to be the president as he was before. So William Ruto is overworking. Do I like him? No, I don't. Is he smart and intelligent and manipulative and knows what is happening? Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mise. Mzalendo, do you have anything to add on what? Of course, yeah.
You know, there is something called the public mood, and there is something called wishful thinking. Now, in Ruto's wishful thought is that he will win the elections come 2027. Now, what is the public perception of William Ruto? All of you in this panel know that the public perception of William Ruto is very, very bad. Now, countries like Kenya, unlike countries in Europe and in America, where leaders are elected because of their policies largely, and the political party that they come from. Countries like Kenya, if you look at, I will just go back to where you come from, your own village, where you come from. The local MCA is not performing, the MP is not performing, but at the end of the day, they will still be elected as your representative. So, do Kenyan people realize the importance of a leader who is delivering for them? Maybe yes, but in the past few years, the kind of crop of leaders that we've been having, Wangira, if you look at the 13th parliament, you look at the previous parliament, you realize that they are the same leaders that we've been recycling. That shows you the voting pattern of the general public. These are the kind of leaders that they are used to. People who will not bring development, but they will still get elected at the end of the day. So as much as we will continue making noise and trying to provide the necessary civic education for the people of Kenya to realize that it is important to make some decisions right, you know, the results might be the same. I am very, very sorry to say that. The results might be just the same. So the more we pump out information, the more we tell people that the policies of sending your working force to the population to overseas country for employment is brain drain to so many to the economy. So that kind of information, people need to understand it, that these are short-term gains for William Ruto's presidency. But the country is looking for a long-term gain. On foreign policy, Ruto might be winning, who was a darling to the West, and a darling to most of the African countries on his policies. And when he was on in the podium, he could articulate his issues very well. But domestically, Ruto is a different animal. He's a different animal altogether. He has stamped a lot of authority on his leadership. He's more of a dictator than somebody who wants to find permanent solutions for the country. And look at the issue that is affecting the country so much, and that is the issue of corruption. What is William Ruto's government doing to deal with the issue of corruption? Because that is one issue that has been affecting our country year in, year out. every presidential election, every presidential candidate comes in and tells you that we are going to fight corruption. We are going to stop corruption. What is William Ruto's government doing to stop corruption in his government? Those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves as Kenyans. That is this government ready to fight corruption? Is he making even baby steps in fighting in the war against corruption? Now there is another war on the part of the judiciary. Judiciary, as we know, is supposed to be independent. Now there is a new war that the judiciary is fighting the executive. So there is a greater war to see Home out of the judiciary, and the parliament will bring in a new puppet that they can control and ensure that whatever development that Ruto is trying to bring easily passes. And even if you go to court, you will not get a fair hearing. So those are the things that are happening on the background that we don't actually talk about. Parliamentarians have already increased their salaries. Nobody is even talking about that. Yeah, they are talking about. There are so many laws that have been passed while we were busy talking about Gen Zs and all that. So many laws are being passed in Parliament, and we are not scrutinizing what kind of these bills are these that are being signed into law. So we need to go back and see what Ruto is doing on the background. I agree with Mise when he says that Ruto is a shrewd politician and can manipulate the system so easily. Yes, because Ruto has been in politics way back in Moi days. He has been in all these systems, whether it is corrupt, whether it is when it comes to corruption, he knows who to talk to. When it comes to matters of security, he knows who is going to pull the strings for him. So he understands government perfectly well, more than those candidates who are jumping in. These guys have been in government for the longest time. They understand there is nothing new that you'll bring in Ruto's table that he doesn't know about the political situation in Kenya. But the game changer in Kenyan politics, that if they can get their acts together, is this young generation called the Gen Zs. That is the only game changer that will bring our politics to sanity and 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 clean the political establishment that has been there robbing of our taxes. So these politicians who have been there in the past, we need to clean up that house so that we bring a new crop of politicians. We might not be able to clean it by 2027, maybe 2032. We'll have a new lot of people, but we can go halfway in 2027 and even occupy that position of the official opposition party in Kenya. That is good enough to start the agenda in 2032. That is in case Ruto stays in power. Thank you.
Yes, Mzalendo, that is wonderful. I have also seen the supervisor. Supervisor, what is your view about 2027 general election? Will President William Ruto get his second term, or it will be the time to go home?
Asante, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Asante sana. You see, yeah, I know this is the pertinent question, but in my own opinion, and I respect every person's opinion, the only card Ruto has, whether you call it shroudness or nini, it is stealing. Stealing. If he steals better, 2.5 billion, he will win. But I don't see any sensible man or woman voting for this guy. In fact, I was in another forum of a Gen Z in the TikTok, and they were talking about mobilizing each other for votes, because it is not about the Kalenjin or the Kikuyus or the Luos or the Kambas. It's about a person with character. I think what Ruto has exposed, it is what has been hidden by many, many, many presidents in Kenya before. I think we all suspected that Kanu people are not good. We knew. But I think for many years, they were good Kanu who could still kill, steal, and still hide and smile with us. But now Ruto came outrightly and showed us, I can steal and you can do nothing. I can kill and you can do nothing. And therefore, my brother, from where I sit, this guy is doing so poorly. Out of the 10 people I talk to daily, which I interact with a lot of people, it is only one person who not supports Ruto, but is not decided. So that tells you there's 100% turnaround of people who think this is the worst president we have ever had. And even I was in a group, that group I was telling you, there were Kales we were discussing, and then they were supporting Ruto. And I told them, it is not about this Kalenjin man. It's not about the Kalenjin community. It's about this individual. In fact, if you can give us a good Kalenjin, a good one, like you remember the Micah Cheserem kind of a Kalenjin, who was the governor of Central Bank at one point, who really brought that institution to high heights. We will vote for that guy. It is, in fact, one of the things I am so happy about Ruto is that he has enabled tribalism to end. Right now watu wamesafa mpaka wamefika mahali ni kama Mungu alikuwa na, I think God actually appointed and allowed this guy to be president so that we come together and fight him. Because the only people who are supporting him are bloggers and people who have been bought in their political situation. Kulingana na uzito yako. Kama wewe ni Mudavadi, umelipwa hiyo, so you support him na watu wako. But normally the people who are going to hospitals and SHA is not working don't like him. People who looked at their salaries this month and 6% has been slashed from the initial earlier amount of NSSF. Surely these people are not laughing. They hate him. The Gen Z who are now having so many forums on Twitter. Sahi Twitter ukiongea juu ya Ruto, in fact you are exploded. Unaangiliwa mpaka unashangaa what's happening. And the bloggers, they are blogging telling us how Ruto has performed and nobody has over 100 likes. That tells you what? Unakuta mabloggers wa Ruto wanapata likes kama 2 ama 3 ama at most 20. But angalia mtu amechora kasongo. In whatever form, whether ako kwa kabuli ama ako kwa casket. Unaona 1.2k. So basically, when you ask me whether he is going to win, I think stealing. And because he's good in stealing, we cannot write him off. He has stolen tokens. He has stolen land. Remember the land of Murumbi, Taita Taveta. He has done all these things. So the only hope he has is what Sudi said. Ukarabati. Lakini siasa yuko. Siasa actually sahi, he's only surviving because of Raila Amolo Odinga. So Raila Amolo Odinga Raila Amolo Odinga ndiye amepatia lifeline. Kwa sababu Raila alikuja akuta Gen Z wako karibu kufika State House. Na yeye before wafike State House akaleta wakina Bandi. Kuingiza wakina Bandi na Gen Z wakasema ala, kumbe huyu jamaa anaweza ingiza opposition kwa serikali. So hiyo kitu ikakuwa punctured. So he's in a lifeline, what we call a political ICU of ODM. Now once ODM imezima hiyo machine, then they decide to come to. In fact, somebody was telling me that in the camp of ODM kuna group mbili. Kuna moja imeambiwa jifanyeni sana mna support. Akina Junet, they are not like so much interested in Ruto. But wameambiwa wewe hata akifanya kitu mbaya hata akicheka support. Alafu akina Sifuna na Bobo Wino huko wako side nyingine. But this is the trick. Everything depends on the AU. Now with what we have had, if it is true, that this abduction that has happened in Kenya, even holding some international figures that were causing out of havoc internationally, kama huyu mama mwingine anaitangwa, he was a Tanzanian woman, hijacked. That one has made the most African nations to fear the candidature of Ruto, which is Raila Amolo Odinga. And this is what is going to happen. Hii kitu, it is secret ballot, si mlolongo. It is not something that I audible.
Now you can hear you.
Yeah, so it is not a guarantee that even Museveni can vote for Baba, because the vote will be secret ballot. What that means is Kioni and Mudavadi going for the presidency. Kioni is a running mate of Mudavadi, and in his own polling station, there was no vote of Mudavadi, despite the campaign and the smiles and the pictures they had together with Mudavadi. So basically, bro, I can tell you, if it is vote 1-on-1, 1+1, Ruto will come number 4 or 5 if there will be 5 candidates. If there will be 3 candidates, he will be number 3. If there will be 2, he will be number 2. So unless he steals, which I think he will, or he will try. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor. Thank you, Supervisor. Jared, you have seen how your questions, how your response has been tackled. Do you have something to say?
Thank you very much. Let me just start by, where Mzalendo has left, that, perhaps the only alternative left for William Samoei Ruto is to do what I always call kibaking us. And, kibaking us, is what Kibaki did to the people of Kenya in 2007, when he realized that, he was losing the election. That's the only alternative that is left for William Samoei Ruto. But, there are consequences to that alternative of thinking that you can do what Sudi was telling us. The people of Kenya out here are irritated. And let me tell you, the problem with William Samoei Ruto is that, he has opened so many, battlefronts. If he's not battling Mount Kenya, he's battling the middle class. If he's not battling the middle class, he's battling people who depend on SHA. If he's not battling people who depend on SHA, he's battling with parents who are taking our kids to school. If he's not battling those people who are taking their kids to school, he's battling the university students. If he's not battling the university students, he's battling doctors and the rest of workers. So, he has opened so many battlefronts, that it's almost impossible for him to win this war. However shrewd or whatever you want to describe him as being, is almost impossible for him to win. And that, takes me to the last point that, Muzalenda has left. That, perhaps the only alternative for William Samoei Ruto is to Kibaki us in 2027. But, there are consequences to trying to Kibaki us. The people of Kenya will not agree. For example, today, I've never seen, a technologically savvy era like the one I've seen between 2022 to today. People are on phone, people on their laptops, people on the tablets, and they are following information, on a minute-to-minute development. So which means, they can get information from every corner of the country on minute-to-minute. So if William Samoei Ruto, tries, what I call those monkey businesses of trying, kuongezea what Sudi was saying, that kama haitatosha watajazia. Akijaribu hiyo mchezo ya kujaribu kujaza, then there could be serious consequences. There could be serious consequences to that, because the people of Kenya will not allow it. The people of Kenya will not allow it. And it not be only one section of the people. majority of Kenyans are fed up with this man. Just like Muzalendo has told you, it does not matter about your color, it does not matter about your tribe, it does not matter about your status. You know, people generally are fed up with this guy. And they are praying that this 2027 can come as quick as yesterday, so that they can send this guy home. So however shrewd we are being told that he is, it's not going to become very, very easy for him to win this particular election. And the only alternative he has is to Kibaki has. But by trying to Kibaki the people of Kenya in 2027, I tell you there will be consequences, because the people of Kenya will not agree to a rigged election.
Yes, there is a question here. How will Wangira know that Ruto has stolen the election? That is a question that is posted for you, Wangira. How will you know that Ruto will steal the election?
Wangira, I like the passion sometimes in Wangira, but wale watu walisema vitu kwa ground ni tofauti. They actually meant it, and they were actually very honest. Vitu kwa ground ni tofauti, Wangira. Kuna huyu jamaa amekimbia, huyu supervisor amekuja na propaganda mingi hapa sana, propaganda. Unajua hata kama hatupendi William Ruto, kuna ile kitu hata sisi tunamuogopa.
Can I answer that question before perhaps you come in? Yes, there was somebody who was asking, how will the people of Kenya know that the elections have been rigged? How did the people of Kenya in 2007 know that the elections were being rigged? And remember, in 2007, we were not in the technological era like the one that we are in today. But the people of Kenya could still tell that Kibaki was stealing elections in 2007. So in using the same mechanisms, the people of Kenya will be in a position to tell if the election is being stolen in 2027.
So you're still underestimating the value and the net worth of William Samoei Ruto. Pesa bwana Wangira, pesa hata imefanya Samuel ametulia. Huyu jamaa alikuwa anasema at the GNCs wengine hawana hata kura, right? Young people don't even vote at times. That is why the majority of the people who go to vote ni wazee, and then we end up blaming them. So mtu akiwa na pesa can always influence. How does voting work, Wangira? Ukiwa kwa polling station, uko na team yako, you hire people wanakaa kwa polling station. Mtu akikuja anaambiwa 1,000 iko ni yako, so 500 ndio hii, enda na Boniface Kimanzi aone kwamba umeweka. The whole polling station is compromised, kuanzia askari mpaka wale clerks wako hapo, wamepewa pesa, wametulia. Wakiona Kimanzi ameleta watu, mtu anamwambia mimi sijui kusoma, mtu mwenye ataniandikia ni nani, mwenye atanisaidia kusoma ni Kimanzi. Kimanzi anaenda pale, anaona kura imepigwa, anaweka, imepigwa, hakuna kitu, inapigwa vizuri, anapiga picha, anarudi anaonyesha, anasema ndio hii pesa inapatiwa. Mtu anapatiwa pesa, anaenda. Wewe umetengeneza 1,000 yako, wewe unataka 1,000 yako ya leo, ama unataka kuchagua mtu atakuja kukuambia tumetenga, tumeweka, tutatengeneza international stadium, ile nini meji kama ya Manchester United ama Arsenal, zile mnaonanga kwa TV zitakuwa zinachezwa hapa. So hiyo ndio utahitaji, ama utataka 1,000 yako moja ukule uende nyumbani. So William Ruto is smart. When the Chief Justice Maraga ruled that election is won at the polling station, William Ruto knows that, and he knows that elections are not won at the server. Servers are only a medium of transmission of results to the National Tallying Center. So we have constituency tallying center, we have polling centers where all the votes and ballot boxes from the from the polling centers are taken to the constituency development, not development, but tallying center. So from the tallying center, constituency I don't know kwa nini inakuja development, but constituency tallying center inaenda to the national tallying center. I think there's provincial and then there's national tallying center. So that is where manipulation happens. And William Ruto will buy everyone, up to including you, Wangira. If William Ruto picks up, there is power, my friend, kutoka kwa ile ofisi. If William Ruto picks up his phone and calls me right now, aniambie, Mise, uko wapi? Kuja hapa tuongee. Ukuje na hao wangwana wanaitwa Boniface, Jared, Alex, Mzalendo. Tutajipata huko bwana. Kama Raila mwenyewe anaitwa anakimbia huko, sisi ni nani? So that is the power of money. That's the problem with power and money that creates influence. Those two things that William Ruto already has. The other thing is, Mzee Wangira, it's very difficult to take out the incumbent president. It's not a walk in the park. A walk in the park to take out the incumbent president, unless he willingly or the people from his party decide to sabotage him. So it's very difficult to take out a sitting president. So the incumbent president is still in charge. He has commands, and as amrisha kitu yoyote ifanyike within, his powers as provided by the Constitution. So we cannot underestimate William Ruto. He's a powerful politician. He's a cunning politician. He's also intelligent. He's not just mtu mchache hivyo. Na pia kuna watu wa mdomo wengi sana, akina Ichungwa, akina Osoro kutoka kwetu huko Kisii, akina hao watu wote hata Mbadi. Saa hii akina Mbadi wametulia, wako chini ya maji wanakula. Hawezi ukarusha mawe mahali unakula. So those are some of the challenges that I hope that you take those into consideration, my brother, that yes, we have to fight, but the GNCs are not the solution, because IEBC is not constituted yet, right? So, which means we still don't know when he will constitute IEBC for it to function. We are 2 years down the line, he has done nothing. What makes you think the next 2 years is going to do something? So we have a challenge.
Me I'm wondering, Mise, and the question to the panelists. Now, there are areas, either they are missing the MP or the MCAs. How are these areas getting services? How are these areas getting services? They have not had an MP since the elections, or maybe they lost their.
Nobody cares about them.
Yeah?
Nobody cares about them. Seriously, I can tell you from Nyamira, there is a ward called Nyamaya ward. The MCA died, right? And there is no representation, but there's no representation from that ward.
And the country is moving without them.
The country is moving without them. 2 years down the line.
But anyway, Mr. I can only say that elections in 2027 will not be easy for William Ruto. And I have told you, and I'll keep on saying that if elections were held tomorrow, William Ruto will lose on a free and fair election. And even if it was unfair elections, he will still struggle to win that fair election. Yeah, even if it was a rigged election, you will still struggle very hard to rig that election. But with the technology and what we are going to witness in 2027, it's not going to be easy to manipulate the system. That is why Ruto is spending a lot of money in Western, and his target now is the Western region. So the amount of money that William Ruto spent today in Western tells you a lot that the ball game is changing. The ball game is changing. There's a greater interest in the Western region than in Mount Kenya or in Nyanza. Nyanza amemalizana nayo. Nyanza is they are contented with the four positions that they were given. They are not asking for much. Now the other region that William Ruto is going to camp is Kisii. Kisii, they are grumbling for positions too. I have seen their leaders coming out that we want also some positions. So this government called Kenya is a government where people come in and they feast. Yeah, they feast, and that is what you are alluding to, Mise. That Ruto can call us today, and for us, we will just be going there to eat. Yeah, that is you. You will be going there to eat. But for people with principle like myself, I will ask you, why am I being called? Why are you calling me here today? So there are greater interest in people. People are different. People are different, and Mr. You have to appreciate that. There are few of us who are still remaining, who are not corruptible, and so they are there. People like John Gidongo, they left the country, yeah, and they are doing their own private job because you can't work in a system where everybody seems to be corrupt. If you tell Maraga, for example, they are still there. If you tell Maraga Ruto wants to see you and give you some money, do you think that I will look at you like, what are you trying to tell me, kijana? Kaa chini kidogo ni kuombee kwanza kabla tuondoke. Kwa sababu mimi nimehudumia hii serikali na najua kazi yangu ni gani. Kazi yangu si ya kupokea hongo. So there are still a few individuals out there who cannot be corrupted with William Ruto, and they look at the country as Kenya and the country that they love most. So we are there. So don't think that the fact that William Ruto can buy a majority of people. There are people he can't buy. There are people that their price is too high for him to buy just because of their integrity. But if you are waiting to be corrupt and you want change in Kenya, then you are a part of the problem. Thank you.
Yes, if you're following us here for the first time, remember this is Africa 24. You can join us through the comment section. You can also follow us through our social media platforms, that is Africa 24. Alex, what do you have to say about 2027?
About 2027, as I said before, Bonnie, 2027 will be I think this will be the highest ever voter turnout in the country will be seen, because many people will turn out to with the purpose of voting President Ruto to government. And I will second what Jared said. Ruto has clashed with many people. He has clashed with the campus students. He has clashed with Mama Mboga. He has clashed with border borders. He has clashed with the people in the healthcare because Asha is not working. So in 2027, Bonnie, we anticipate a large voter turnout, and people want somebody who can bulldoze his way, somebody who can come in with let's say, something like an instant impact. In football, we call them a super sub. Back then in the days when if you are watching football for Barcelona, you'd see whenever Cesc Fabregas came in, You always knew he would come in and he would change the game. So that's what Kenyans need in 2027. Somebody who is a game changer, somebody who can bulldoze his way into power and to do away with corruption and to start implementing some of the policies that are in his manifesto. And also, Kenyans need a leader who can uphold the constitution, because that is something that up to now we still have challenges with leaders upholding the constitution. So those are some of the things that we anticipate for 2027. But as for now, what we can say is President Ruto has underscored in the exam which he was given by the citizens of the country. And as time goes by, I don't see the need of people saying we give him time, because if he wanted to deliver, he would have delivered, and he can deliver. He can deliver better than all the presidents in the previous regime. So it's not an issue of him needing time; he can deliver. So even if we give him 10 years, still he won't deliver. Recently, I had Faramalim saying that he should come back as the prime minister after doing 10 years. So if in the time period that he hasn't delivered, why should he be given more time? So should just be even. I wish there would be an MP who can table a motion to impeach the president.
Alex, Bana Parliament is controlled by William Ruto. If you table any motion right now, it is just testing the water. Who is on our side? Maybe that would work to test the waters to see who is going to be on our side and who is going to be on the other side. But as it is right now, the minority is working with the government of the day. People who are supposed to check the executive are already in bed with William Ruto. So this country, we are running against the constitution of Kenya. So we are back to those days we used to have a one party state. Apart from Kalonzo, who is trying, and a few Wiper leaders who are trying to raise some concern, but their voices are drowned in parliament. You hardly hear the Maanzos in parliament. They are voiceless. They cannot articulate what is happening on the ground. I think people are also scared. I don't know. I have this impression that most of the leaders are scared. I like what Salasia said in Mumias. Uh, this young man is proving to be a courageous leader, somebody who can talk in front of the president and tell him, "Hey, no, this is what the outside it is not working. About taxations of the teachers, it is not good." And we lack such people. We have got people who are just cheerleaders. So this rectify what is happening. But the bigger grand scheme of William Ruto's win is to destroy. But there's also a narrative that we need to be very, very careful. There is a narrative that is being sold against the Kikuyu community, that the Kikuyu are part of our problem. I don't think that the Kikuyu people are part of our problem. We are all tribal in our nature. If you look at the people even commenting negatively or positively, they come from a tribe. And we look at our regions, they have tribal kingpins that they vote for. And these tribal kingpins cannot pretend that they are not tribalists. They are also tribalists. It's only that they don't look at the interest of the community the way Gachagua was trying to present the interest of his Kikuyu community in an open manner. Things that are happening in Yamaji that people don't want to articulate properly in broad daylight. Gachagua came and said that, me, I am tribal. I love my Kikuyu tribe, and I want to serve my region. My region. That is happening. Ruto comes from Rift Valley, and Rift Valley voted for him. and he kicked out any opponent that opposed to him in Rift Valley. Tell me of anybody who can dare to oppose William Ruto in Rift Valley. There is nobody who is now opposing William Ruto in Rift Valley. The other Isaac Ruto, who had a political party and had differences with William Ruto, is already in government. He absorbed him a long, long time ago. The Keter is only probably one voice that is raising his concern in the leadership of William Ruto, but the rest are playing ball because they dare not criticize William Samoei Ruto. So that is what is happening in our politics. We have to understand that our politics, apart from the new tribeless generation that is coming in, there is also a region of that is controlled by tribe and manipulated by tribe. So that region is the one that the Gen Z will create that balance for the candidate who is going to win the elections. Otherwise, just like Donald Trump, make the election so big that they cannot rig the election in coming 2027. Make your victory so huge that nobody can rig you out. That is my take on the election. Another thing is that I've always said that the regions that are so important in 2027 are three. Number one, that is so important that William Ruto might not get are the Gen Zs. That's number one. Number two, the voting block in Mount Kenya. That one is slippery. He might not get it as he got it the last time. Then number three is the Western region. The Western region are flip-flopping in government and others are not in government. They have no unity, and William Ruto wants them divided like that. If Natembea can get his act together, then I can tell you there is a greater force that William Ruto is using in Western province than even in Central province. So Western, we should be worried that the unity that they have been yearning for is fought so hard to separate them so that they vote the way they are. But so long as everybody wants to be the president of Kenya, then there'll be a easier chance for William Ruto to win the elections. So even we, Wangira, and anybody else who is supporting in the opposition, they need to come up with one candidate. They need to form a coalition and come up with one person who is going to face William Ruto in 2027. Otherwise, divided, we will fall like never before. Thank you.
Can I come in?
Yes, go ahead. I think the moderator is.
Okay, thank you. I have no doubt that, if elections were held today, William Samoei Ruto would lose. And, there's another angle that people are not looking at. And I believe this is the angle that William Samoei Ruto is exploiting. I don't think that, William Samoei Ruto is keen in seeing Kenya go to elections in 2027. And I've argued that in another platform. I've even written about it on my Facebook page, that, William Ruto does not want to see Kenya go to an election in 2027 because he knows that if we go for an election in 2027, he's going to lose. And these are my points. Kriegler, the Kriegler Commission, in their report, they gave a recommendation that, the IBC commissioners must be in place at least 2 years before the next general election. That is the issue number one. The Supreme Court in the presidential election petition number 1 of 2017, Raila Odinga against, Uhuru Kenyatta and the rest, the presidential election that nullified the presidential petition that nullified that election. If you listen to it very, very careful, the court was clear that an election was not an event, but was a process. Thirdly, there is the issue of the delimitation of boundaries. And this is a constitutional requirement that, between 10 to 20 to 12, between 10 to 12 years, we must, there must be that process of delimitation of boundaries. Today, as we stand, we are past that particular period. The delimitation of boundaries was supposed to have taken place in, I believe, March 2024, latest. Today we are moving to February 2025. We have not seen the delimitation of boundaries. Where we stand today, we don't have IBC commissioners, and we are going closer to that 2-year mark that the Kliegler commission recommended that we must have commissioners within at least 2 years before the next general election. Thirdly, I've told you that an election is not an event, is a process, which means there must be preparations towards an election. But where I see it, I don't see, that preparation towards 2027 general election, because, the preparation must start by, having the IBC commissioners in place. Today where we stand, there are no IBC commissioners. We are next week, it will be February 2025, and perhaps we'll not have the IBC commissioners in place. And, if things continue the way they are, perhaps the earliest we can get IBC commissioners could be October or November of this year. What does that one tell you? It tells you that, the preparation for an election, will not take the direction they are supposed to take. So why do I believe that, William Ruto is not keen in seeing Kenya go for an election in 2027? Having discovered that, he's not likely to win this particular election, William Ruto would want an extension, to his regime. And that's why, he's taking, he's playing ball. You can go to court, argue on the panel as much as you want, so long as I'm the president, I don't care. You can stay in court for another 6 months, another 1 year, as fast so long as he's the president, he does not care. He does not care. And there's something that is likely to come up, a very, very serious thing. The first argument will be, can we move to the next general election without border delimitation? That's a constitutional question, because the constitution says that within a period of 10 to 12 years, there must be boundaries delimitation. But where we are not seeing it. We are not seeing it. And this is a process. Boundaries delimitation is not a process you carry out in one day. This is a process that takes between 18 to 24 months, because there will be some people will go to court, if some people will go to court, there will be court battles, there will be contestations. So, it's not an easy process. It's a process that can take between 18 to 24 months, to agree on which should now be the new boundaries for the new electoral boundaries for the Republic of Kenya. And, we are not there yet. We are not there yet. So I see a likelihood, and I've argued it somewhere else. I see a likelihood of, when the new commissioners of the IBC, when they come to office, I see the likelihood of the IBC, with the help of the Attorney General, moving to the Supreme Court to seek for what we call an advisory opinion. And the advisory opinion could just be a simple one. They would argue that, we have just come into office today, and given that we need at least 2 years to conduct an election, and we are not within that 2 years period, can the Supreme Court extend our time of election preparation? Secondly, they can argue that we cannot, because the constitution says that there must be a boundary delimitation. They can argue that it's not right for us to go to the next general election without boundaries delimitation. So can the Supreme Court advise that we be granted a period of between 18 months to 24 months so that we undertake the boundaries delimitation? And this will play in William Samoei Ruto's court, because the court could agree with them, and the court could say, then let us give you 2 years so that you undertake boundaries delimitation before you now embark on preparing for a general election. That would be another 3 years for William Samoei Ruto. So as much as we are talking about 2027, that 2027 could end up not being there. We could end up having William Samoei Ruto as president until 2030 because of these complications that I've just, tried to describe here. Let me just stop there.
Okay. I hear you, Jared. So I think this talk of the 2027 election is becoming a bit repetitive, because we talk about it every now and then. So it's good we digress a bit. We discuss things that are happening in the nation. Recently, I think last week, the MPs tabled a motion for them to be for their salaries to be increased. Do you think they deserve it, and why should they be their salaries be increased? Jared, give your remarks.
Uh, everybody, public service in this country is not about service. Public service in this country is about eating. So any person you see in a public office, is there for purposes of eating. It does not matter whether he's a tea girl, he's a messenger, he's a clerk, he's a manager. Everybody, is looking for an opportunity to eat. So if you see members of parliament, oh, seeking, for an increment on their pay, that tells you that they just want to eat. And it takes me back to that point, even if you don't want me to talk, or to, even if you feel that we should not talk much about 2027. It takes me back there. Imagine that the court agrees with IBC commissioners that we extend William Samoei Ruto's term in office for another, let us say, 24 months to 36 months. Who will be the beneficiaries? The beneficiaries will include parliamentarians. They will include the MCS. Those will be the beneficiaries. They will be the beneficiaries, because if they want their salary increased, and if they were to be given an extension of term to serve as members of parliament or as MCA, they'll play ball. So we are dealing with characters in this country who are not there to serve you. They're only there to serve their own stomachs. That's all that perhaps I could say.
Okay, over to you, Mzalendo. What is your take on the MPs wanting their salaries to be increased? Okay, I think there's an issue with Mzalendo's network. So okay, we continue. And also recently there's been can you say there's a back and forth between the president and the former deputy president, and we have also seen guys like Aden Duale. So recently, the former president Uhuru Kenyatta came out and said the Gen Z should come out and fight for their rights. He also said that they are young, and they are the ones who will take over the nation, so they should stand up and fight for their right. What is stand up and fight for their rights? And he also spoke about them being able to. He said for him, he is getting older. He doesn't have the energy to go on. And we have seen the president came out and spoke about politicians inciting the youth to rally against the government. So Jared, what is your take on that? Who is let me say who should the youth align with? Is the former president correct, or is the president who is leading the youth?
Let me not dwell so much on the messenger, but on the message. Let me delink the messenger from the message so that I dwell so much on the message. We are told that, every generation has an opportunity to make a mark in history. Our generation made their mark because the people who were 50 years like me made their mark. And, people who are in their 20s and 30s also have an opportunity to make their mark in history. Let me tell you, if a person who is 50 years like me ends up messing the economy of a country, and you are 20-year-old, and you are just watching him, mess the economy of the country, then, this guy is messing your future. Because at the end of the day, the sufferer will be you. And that's why, I say that let us, dwell so much on the message. The young people of this country, are the owners of the heritage of this country because they will live longer. Me at 50, I might live another 25, another 30 years. I don't know how many more years God will give me. But, if you are 20 years, even if you were to live another 50 years, you'll be 70 years. So, you have more years to live. That tells you that you have more reasons why you should fight for the well-being of yourself. And, that's why, it's very, very important that they come up. Because, the future they are fighting, belongs to them more than it belongs to some of us. Because if this country is messed, who suffers? They suffer more than some of us will suffer because, some of us are not likely to live as long as, they would live. So, they have a responsibility as the young people, to take part, in pushing, for the good governance of this country. They have a serious responsibility to, without dwelling so much about on the messenger, but on dealing on the message, because, messengers are politicians, and, anytime they pronounce themselves, people will put them in a particular camp or in camp A or camp B. So that's why I'm embarking so much on the message. So the young people have a responsibility to ensure that this country is governed well. Because, if they leave it to go to the dogs, then, they are likely to suffer more than, some of us would suffer. That's perhaps all that I can say.
Okay, so thank you for that wonderful submission on the issue to do with the Gen Z, the one which the president addressed, the former deputy president addressed, and we also saw CS Adendwale coming out to speak about it, and we have also seen some of the Uhuru's some of the people in Uhuru's government being in power. Zalendo, is your microphone all right?
Yeah. I'm okay.
Yeah, so the question I asked you was, do you think MPs deserve a salary raise because they tabled that they wanted to table that motion in Parliament for their salaries to be increased?
These are the people who seems to be suffering more than any other Kenyan, and they feel that each and every time they need some increment of sort. These are guys who earn almost $1 million, plus they control a CDF that most of them cannot even account for, largely. So these are a bunch of thieves. I told you that 13th Parliament is a disgrace to the people of Kenya. So it's a bunch of thieves who have come together to get everything that they can in the 13th Parliament. And since the government of William Ruto is in a position, it's like it's in a fix. It will pass. And SRC, you see, they keep on threatening the chair of SRC to, if they don't increase their salaries, they will actually bundle him or her out of office. So the MPs are selfish. And perhaps it is high time when you see doctors striking, they should demand the same amount of money that MPs are demanding. Let them be paid $1 million. Let a doctor be paid $1 million shillings so that they can enjoy the luxuries that our members of parliament are enjoying. Let them get car allowances. Let them get house allowances. paid by taxpayers. Let the teachers, the least paid teacher in Kenya should be earning at least 300,000 shillings. So they should come out, teachers should come out and say that we want to earn as much as those MPs are earning. There is no reason, there is no, we live in the same country. We have the same expenses. The gas, when the gas is high, it is high for the teacher, is high for the teacher, is high for the workers. So it is not only high for the MP. I don't see the greater role that they play in society, that they need to be to have an increment each and every time. That tells you how selfish these leaders are, and we need to call them out whenever we have an opportunity to call them out. And I think that's what I have to say about that particular issue.
Okay, and also we have also seen the former president Uhuru Kenyatta came out strongly to say the youth should stand up and fight for their rights and advocate for them. He also said that his generation, their time has passed and they don't have the energy to fight for this nation. He said so the youth should come out strongly and fight for their rights. And the president came out strongly to oppose that. He also said the youth in this country are indisciplined, and parents should focus on disciplining their children. So so who should the people learn? Who is right? Who is wrong? Are the youth fighting for their rights, or they're just indisciplined, as the president said?
You see, I don't think the president has got the moral authority to tell Kenyans how to raise their children. If he was raised well, then that is well and good. But he has no moral authority to tell the parents to raise their children well. How you raise your child, that is your business. How he raises his children, nobody even wants to care how he raises his children. Nobody knocks to State House to find out how his daughters are being raised and sons are being raised. Some of these leaders, as I heard in many platforms, their children are spending in rehabs. Some of them, you know very well that they could have died of even drugs and all of those things, overdose and all that. Some of them are alcoholics. So they need to start with themselves. Discipline yourself. If the president is talking about discipline, look at the issue of the land that was grabbed the other day, the school land that was grabbed the other day at prison. I think it is the president of Kenya who did that, and some children were tear gassed. That is manners. So, do you want to tell me that he was not taught manners? That is what he did. That's why he did that. Look at the land that he returned after grabbing the land from the owner. That issue was in court. Is it that he had bad manners from his parents? That is why he did all that. So our leaders should teach themselves manners before they start teaching us manners. Look at people like Farah Maalim. These are leaders that people look up to. Look at the wordings that they use. Look at the kind of insults that they throw out. So some of the issues around manners is that when you criticize, you are called mannerless. When you support, you are called mannered, or you are intelligent, or you know what you are doing. So criticizing the government is okay. Being mannerless for the right thing is also okay. So our youth are mannerless for the right things. They want change in the country. And the best way they can demonstrate is in the internet and draw things that they are drawing. So that is the only demonstration that is there. If it is hurting somebody so much, then it's too bad. That is why we have the social platform. That is why we have freedom, and those are called freedoms of speech and freedom of expression. It has got no limitation. And if you want to go to an extent that you feel that Mzalendo has really annoyed you, you take the matter to court. So when you take the matter to court, you get a fair hearing. If Mzalendo has annoyed you, they'll go to jail. But you see, when you are annoyed and you swear and you say that, if you draw me in any other way in a coffin, then I will put you in the right place, in the right coffin. Wacha hiyo yako hiyo umechora. I saw something like that. So these statements are very, very wrong. These statements should not come from leaders unless it was manipulated. But I've seen something like that going around in the internet. So some of these statements, if they're coming from our leaders, then it is sad and unfortunate. When you lose your life, that grave will be in that compound. The grave of somebody like Rex is in their compound for the rest of their life. Their mother will wake up every day, see that grave, and walk away. The grave of Raymond will remain in his compound. His children will be waking up every morning to see that grave of their father, who never even saw them go to past kindergarten, or even past high school, or past even primary education. They never even had a chance to be with their father, unlike these other leaders who are enjoying security paid by our taxpayers, and yet they go abducting and killing other children. I mean, it is sad what is happening in society. And if somebody out there is supporting things like this, then it is madness. Kenya is a society of mad people. A society of mad people. We have not even finished to see the mass graves in Chakaola. Now you can imagine that there is somebody in Kenya who was killing people and burying them in Chakaola. We are in a mad society. If that is not a national disaster, then I don't know what a national disaster is. People are crazy. Yeah. So let me answer this. Osam is saying in the US, people don't earn millions, but the living conditions are great. People can afford to live comfortably depending on how hard you work. Yeah, that is economies that are working. That is in unlike in Kenya, Osam, you'll wake up, you'll sleep a poor man, but the next day you can wake up a billionaire. So that only happens in Kenya. It cannot happen in a place like America. You people have to work. Mzalendo is wrong. It's not about how much you earn, but having a comfortable living wage and with a great economy that benefits you. In Kenya, it is how much you earn. The MPs are earning way much. Tell me how you calculated that they need to be earning over 1 million shillings, get security, get free cars, get free mortgage. You can explain to me why they need to get all those luxuries and other Kenyans need not to get those luxuries. So it is absolutely senseless, and it is just greed. There is nothing there you're arguing about. Awesome. That is absolutely not acceptable. I think, Alex, we have done enough time. Maybe you can give me your last question before you wind up the show.
I was heading to the last question as we wind up on the show tonight. Osam is saying Kenyans are greedy, unfortunately. There is I see I've been following up on the ODM politics, and I think there is a split. Some of them are in power and they are saying that they're in power, but what I'm hearing from the Secretary General Sifuna is that they sent their some of their people to go out there and serve in the government, but to uphold the policies of the party, and yet to hear from the minority leader saying that they are in government. So is it that there is a split in ODM, or it's just Sifuna and Babowino who are being objective?
No, Sifuna and Babowino. I have written about Babowino in many blogs that are on my page. If you go to my page a few years ago, I wrote about what Babowino needs to do, and I think he's copying the same script. Babowino has established an electoral college that really supports him. They support him because one of his
of his contributions in Parliament, and secondly for his work for his constituents in Embakasi East. So, and again, his stand on issues that are affecting society. So, with all those issues around, Babu Owino does not need a political party. He does not need a political party. He is already a movement that many youth, whether they come from his tribe, which is Luo, will go against Raila and support Babu Owino. So Babu Owino has read the mood of the people and is with the people of Kenya. So the thing is that Babu Owino is also eyeing for Nairobi gubernatorial race. He cannot be in the same camp with Raila Odinga, who definitely will not support him in 2027. So he has to look for another path. The only problem is that Babu Owino is not coming out strongly to condemn the actions of his party. He is still weighing the waters. So he doesn't really, he is still not coming out as that strong leader that needs to come and articulate the matters the way they need to be articulated out there. So that is what is lacking. The moment he comes out and defies Raila Odinga in public, that will be it. That will be the beginning of his political path and career as a politician that his community, which is the Luo, can look up to. Remember, Babu Owino was hoping that he would inherit the ODM leadership, but the way things are in the hierarchies of the party is still way below there. But if he can command the support of the young people around Nyanza or in a cosmopolitan area and bring all the tribes together to support him, then already he is now being looked at as a future in Kenyan politics. And Sifuna too. Sifuna does not come from a rural constituency. It does not come from a rural constituency or county like Busia. He is the senator for Nairobi. Nairobi is very, very cosmopolitan and is surrounded by many, many college-going students who are going to vote in 2027. So these guys are just playing their politics right. They know that 2027 is a different ballgame. As much as they would want to support their political party openly, they can't do it because their political future depends on what happens in 2027. It is no longer about psychopathy. And like Sifuna said it, and I loved the Sifuna of nowadays. He is the one who is saying what people need to say. Is talking what we are saying. That it's not about psychophancy. It's not about singing the praise and worship that people are singing to William Ruto, even when he's wrong. If there is abductions in Kenya, you call it out the way it is. The way Muturi came out and said, you know, hey, boss, my son was abducted. And it is this government that abducted him. And the one who saved him is William Ruto. What is wrong with that? He has saved. He has what? He has unveiled the jigsaw puzzle that was bothering many Kenyans. Now we know that the people who are abducting children, young people, is the government, and probably it will stop. Look at the killings of Richard Otieno that happened just the other day in Molo. It is sad. This boy is dead now. You'll never see him again. You'll never. Maybe what is remaining of him is his Facebook page and the YouTube videos that he did or the rallies that he was in. So, and these are memories that are going to be there for the rest of this leader's time. Even William Ruto we will be here on this platform. When you avail these 10 years down the road, when you look at 10 years or 20 years, when we will be 70 years plus, we will still go back to YouTube and say, you know, this is what Osam was saying. This is how awesome was stupid on the comment section, supporting a government that is killing people in cold blood. Then his grandchildren will ask him, hey, why were you supporting this government and it killed so many people? That is how you will be judged. Right now, you might think you're doing the right thing, but the future is there. You will be judged with what you are doing, with what you are saying. And just the same way as in heaven, if we die today, we Christians believe that you will be judged by your deeds. So if you are right before God, then definitely will be in heaven. If you are wrong before man and God, then definitely you are going to hell. So that is the way it is. At soon Sufuna will be quiet. He talks about other people eating in the government while himself is out in the cold. Someone is listening to him. Soon he will be singing praise and song. I don't think Sufuna, if he wants to go that direction, then his political career is gone in Nairobi. Nairobi is going to be hotly contested. Nairobi will get new MPs, will get new leaders in Nairobi. Take that to the bank. Alex.
Hello. Okay. So yes, I believe we have done more than 2 hours show, and if anyone is viewing Afrique for the first time, should consider subscribing. Should join. We build the community, and we are for pushing for a great nation through the media. The media is a tool that we are using to push for a greater nation. And we have a political talk show each and every day at 10 p.m. Kenyan time till 12. So people should consider joining the show and subscribe to Afrique. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We bring you exclusive content each and every day. So Afrique is the place to be. So as we wind up the political show tonight, Mzalendo, what is your last remarks as we close?
My last remark to the people of Kenya is that you have got a weapon, and the only weapon for change is your voter's card. Just make sure that it is ready. We can go for election anytime, any other time. Your ID, and tell a friend I've seen that we need to make a change in 2027. The political leaders have to go. The 13th parliament, we need to sweep it. If you cannot sweep it clean, then let us sweep it halfway so that we have new leaders coming in who can work for the people. Otherwise, thank you guys for being there. Thank you also for your contribution. And anybody else who had been here earlier, thank you very much. Nice meeting you on the panel. And karibuni tena sana Africa 24.
Okay, thank you. We meet again tomorrow for the next political talk show.